Vegas, baby.
Love it when it's forward, love it when it's fast, love it when the leaders call, the pack is moving fast. Love it when they're making lots and lots of noise. Can't wait to hear the double say.
Boogity, boogity, boogity! Viva Las Vegas, boys, go racing!
Oh yeah!
This is home track for the two Busch brothers.
Oh, there goes Jeff!
That could have been disastrous.
That's the hardest I've ever hit.
Carl Edwards will go to victory lane.
Way to go, Carl!
Love it when it's forward, love it when it's fast, love it when the leaders call, the pack is moving fast. Love it when they're making lots and lots of noise. Can't wait to hear the double say.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Let's go racing, boys.
Kansas trying to be the first driver to win the first 3 in a row.
NASCAR on Fox. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Fox Sports welcomes you to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We're north of the famed strip, and it's hot and happening. Beautiful weather, temperature in the 70s, and no rain in the forecast. 140,000 fans expected, and you have a great view as well. More than 6 decades of racing. There have been 2,845 drivers in NASCAR, but today, only one can make history. Who will provide the greatest challenge for Matt Kenseth? Our Hollywood Hotel and Casino, located trackside. It's where America gathers every weekend for racing. We're glad you're with the gang, Chris Myers, and we're all here excited. The Vegas effect has hit a little too hard. Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Hammond. Hey, I thought there was only one king in NASCAR.
You're riding with him, baby.
And welcome to the Heartbreak Hotel.
The Heartbreak Hotel. Yeah. All right, table for one. All right, a couple of storylines we're watching. Matt Kenseth here in Vegas. He's raced here 9 times. He's finished, completed 99.9% of his laps. Can Matt Kenseth do it? No driver in history has won the first 3 races. He's won here twice before. Carl Edwards won here last year. He'll start 16th as he tries to win a pair of Vegas races. And Jimmy Johnson, his troubles at Daytona and Fontana and the last trip here, but he did win 3 in a row in Vegas from 05 to 07. Dale Earnhardt Jr. struggling in Daytona and Fontana, but maybe his luck will turn. The 88 will come. Vegas' own Kyle Busch wins the pole, but he has to start from the back of the pack because of an engine change. And in an unrelated case, some of the Toyotas from Michael Waltrip's racing in the Red Bull team, they've had to change engines this week, and they'll start from the back of the pack as well. Well, the race is a little bit longer here in Vegas. Still not as long as the 500 miles we've seen for the first 2 races this year. Now you look like yourselves.
Yeah, now we're out of costume. Or maybe we're in costume.
You're in costume. They have not left the building. We were hoping you would with Elvis. We kid. We care.
Yeah.
Hey, the engines, have they straightened the problem out here? I know you were down in the garage snooping around.
Unfortunately, we don't know yet, Chris. I mean, really, this is one of those kind of lingering situations right now that Toyota has. Kyle Busch already blew an engine for Joe Gibbs, but they didn't change the engine in the 2 Gibbs cars. But everybody else who has a Toyota, Darrell, they changed engines.
Yeah, they got something going on in the camshaft area.
Drivers trying to figure out the Matt Kenseth start. He hasn't dominated, but he has won, Darrell. But what about this track and trying to get used to what's happening here?
Well, you know, they reconfigured the track, so it's got a lot more banking in ahead. This is the second year we raced here. This year it's even different. We got a longer race by 18 laps. They've got a new tire here this year that's giving the cars a lot of grip. So we got a fast track, we got new tires, we got a race that's a little bit longer. I don't think anybody has any real history as to how this race is going to go down today.
All right.
Strategy, my friend. It's going to all come down to strategy.
Yeah, definitely strategy. Just
right.
What is it?
We'll figure it out. Let's bring in the guys who, along with Darrell, will call the race today. Larry McReynolds, Mike Joy, and gentlemen, Kyle Busch, because of those problems going back. But how long do you think he's going to stay back there and be able to work his way up front?
Oh, for about 2 hands, about a New York minute. We know Kyle Busch is fast. We know Matt Kenseth is capable of winning this race. And because of what happened to Kyle, they're both going to start out back and work their way to the front, as you said. But here you make a lot of your own luck, and strategies involved, Larry, when it comes to pit road. The strategy and the game plan for these 2 drivers couldn't be more different.
Well, even though Kyle Busch has to go to the rear of the field, he still gets all the accolades that goes along with sitting on the pole. He gets that last pit position, leaving pit pit road. So all that team has to do when they finish their pit stop is move just a little bit ahead. They win the battle off pit road. The other end of the spectrum, though, the second pit box coming in, that's where Matt Kenseth had to pick because of qualifying 40th, because you pick your pits by how you qualify. But that's not unusual for the 17 team. I talked to them this morning, and they told me, Larry, we know we have to make a difference on pit road. If you go back to last week's race at Auto Club Speedway, they made a difference. But I think the one thing, Matt Kenseth is used to starting back there. He knows you have to be patient. Like Darrell told me yesterday, you can't use the two words Kyle Busch and patience in the same sentence. That could be the key right there.
He'll need a little patience today working his way to the front, Chris, but I got a feeling both those drivers are going to get there and before too long.
All right, of course, second straight race. The guy who won the pole isn't starting on the pole, and no pole sitter has ever won this race in Las Vegas. But how about a guy like Matt Kenseth? He's comfortable coming from back of the pack, right?
Oh, yeah, he could set a record, another record today by starting the furthest in the field. He starts 40th, so he could break another record today by coming from the furthest in the field.
No problem for him.
All right, a lot of history on the line in Vegas. Last week, Kyle Busch made history, winning two of NASCAR's National Touring Series races on the same day, but he finished third in the Cup race. Came in first as a wingman this weekend. After winning the pole, he stepped in as the best man for a couple who got married here at the track in Vegas. But we all know that Kyle's specialty is behind the wheel.
And here comes Wild Thing, Rowdy Busch.
Las Vegas Motor Speedway is home track.
I would put money on him every week.
If he can lead every lap of this race, he will.
They're gunning for this guy.
Still the sport's hottest
He is
driver.
picking them up and laying them down.
It's time for Rowdy to get rowdy in victory lane.
And we welcome the driver of the 18 M&M's car, Kyle, with us live down on the track. And thanks, Kyle, for your time. Hey, do you have a strategy here, working your way through the pack on this particular track?
Well, I think the strategy is just going to be to try to pass one by one if possible, get up through there somehow, some way, and end up getting towards the front and trying to be there at the end, lead that last lap.
Hey, Kyle, it's DW. I talked to a former teammate of yours this week, and he had some pretty interesting things to say about you. Listen to what Jeff Gordon had to say.
I only wish that I could measure my talent up against his. His talent is beyond anything I've ever seen. On his days with that he's out front and that car's right, there's nobody going to catch him.
That's pretty high praise from a four-time Sprint Cup champion. What do you got to say about that?
It is very high praise, and especially coming from Jeff, who's been one of my heroes. I mean, it means a lot. So, listening to the piece that they had on NASCAR Race Day on Speed today with Ray Evernham, Ray Evernham told Jeff Gordon after winning the '97 Daytona 500 that he was the best racing driving talent that he's ever seen. So, to have Ray Evernham tell Jeff, to have Jeff say that about me, it goes in circles, but it means a lot. It's cool.
The thing is right now, Kyle, yesterday during the nationwide race, it looked to me like this racetrack is really, really treacherous
look like
and
I had
tricky.
very much talent yesterday.
I'm talking about the racetrack itself. I mean, can we expect that from the track here today? I mean, it looks like it's such a fine line right now.
Well, it is, and I think that's just those cars. It's this tire for this car on those cars, and it's just not made right for those cars. So I think that's the main reason for it. These cars are heavier, so they throw the car into the ground more. They're on the bump stops, so they're harsher on the tires already. With the rear steer that you've got to put in them, they're harsher on the right rear tires. So that's why they've had to make this tire last, is for the COT. And being that the car now weighs 3,500 pounds instead of the nationwide car 3,400 pounds, the forces are different and everything's always different. So, that tire is just a lot looser, and the cars on new tires on full of fuel with the rear weight that they have, they're just really hard to drive. And so today I don't foresee you seeing those issues. I think the cars and everything will be okay today. I don't think that the air will mean as much, back in the pack. It definitely out front. I mean, we see it every week that the guys first, second, third, fourth, they'll really haul the mail out front. But, back in traffic, it'll sort of be the same for everybody.
All right, Kyle, finally and quickly, home track, Vegas, when you get behind the wheel, does it matter at all, or is it just another race out there?
To me, it's just another race. I mean, we'd love to win this thing. It's probably as big as the Coca-Cola 600 to me. I mean, the Daytona 500 is the first one, the Brickyard 400 second, Coca-Cola 600 would be third, so, the Vegas race would be put right with that.
All right, thanks for your time. Good luck today.
All right, guys, appreciate it.
Watch him in the 18 M&M's car.
Good luck, Kyle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
He gives a good little strategy map out. We'll be watching, and we have 4 pit bosses to help us cover pit road, and that's always entertaining in Vegas. Dick Bergman, Steve Burns, Matt Yoakum, and Chris Devoto.
Forget about doubling down. Matt Kenseth is going for the trifecta. I'll talk to the driver, attempting to make history.
Tony Stewart continues to navigate uncharted waters as an owner. It's been a combination of smooth sailing and stormy seas. We'll talk to the new skipper just ahead.
I'll ask a 3-time champion who has won 3 in a row at Vegas what his chances are to win today.
Roush Fenway Racing has taken home 6 of the last 11 big money paydays here in Las Vegas. A year ago it was Carl Edwards. I'll talk to the Roush-Couture about his chances for a repeat.
Thanks very much. Here's what's coming up around the turn and down the strip. After taking Daytona and Fontana, Matt Kenseth, the story. He's letting it ride in Vegas. Can he make NASCAR history today? We'll listen to what Matt has to say about that and also get insight from Jeff and Darrell. Last year, Vegas was a site for one of the worst crashes Jeff Gordon ever had, maybe his worst. Darrell will sit down with Jeff to talk about that hit and some misses. And Vegas native Kurt Busch, brother of Kyle, takes some of his buddies driving, his little bro, along for a go-kart race. And we'll do a sound check with the number 2, who's rocking in the 3 spot in points. Plus, Jeff Hollywood Hammond, Casey Sugarcane, and David Rocky Rudiman. They take some laps around the octagon. With tough guys, they do ultimate fighting. Plus, answers always come the hard way on Gas and Go. What's happening in Vegas keeps happening in Vegas. You can put your chips on us. This is NASCAR on Fox. NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by McDonald's. By Claritin Allergy Products. Live Claritin Clear. By FedEx Racing. We understand every day is race day. And by Sprint, get NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile only from Sprint, only on the Now Network. Snow hitting Pennsylvania, D.C., the Carolinas, even Georgia, but this is the -5 bar at the Mandalay Bay Hotel, maybe the coolest place on the strip here in Vegas. They had a little NASCAR on Fox logo made out of ice. The temperature, they keep it at -5 degrees Celsius.
-5, Chris. Could that perhaps be your IQ?
All right. I'll do the jokes. You worry about gear ratio. All right. Today,
freezing me to death.
Today we'll see if the legend of Drew Blickensderfer continues to grow. The 32-year-old in his first year as a Sprint Cup crew chief, and I know it's early, but he's a perfect 2 for 2. And remember, his driver Matt Kenseth didn't win a race at all last year. And the winning word in last year's National Spelling Bee was Gurdon, G-U-E-R-D-O-N, and it means a reward. That's about as hard to spell as Blickensderfer.
Here we are in the Neon Garage area trying to figure out the mystique around this new crew chief who could make history, this Drew Blickensderfer. And when you want the answers to something, the best place to go is into the garage. They're the guys who really know what's going on. With Greg Zipadelli, how about this what's his name, Derfer or whatever, the crew chief that's won the first 2 races?
I feel good there's somebody else in here that everybody has a problem with spelling their last name or pronouncing it. I've known Drew for quite a while. I mean, I remember when he worked at DEI and he was a tire changer over there. So, it's a lot of fun to get to see those guys, come up through the ranks and earn the respect, and they deserve what they get.
This Drew Blickensderfer guy, he's 2 for 2. I mean, you're happy for him, but enough already, right? I mean,
oh yeah. I told him when we got here on Friday, he needs to start taking it easy on us.
Can you spell Blickensderfer?
I have trouble spelling my own name sometimes. Only if I can look at this cheat sheet here, but I think that's worse than Zipadelli, yeah, for sure. No, I ain't got a clue. Wouldn't even try.
Well, it's Blink, B-L-I-N-K. It's not.
Oh, it's not B-L-I-K?
B-L-I-K. It's not B-L-I-N-K.
Oh.
See, that's the first way I asked it. It was Blickensderfer.
That's right, and your response?
It's Blickensderfer.
You want to give it a shot?
Yeah.
All right.
W-I-N-N-E-R.
There you go. That's the easy way out.
That's the easy way out, isn't it?
All right, so far nobody's been able to spell Blickensderfer. Before we wrap this up, I just want to see if we'll take one more shot at this. Excuse me, sir. Can you spell, Blickensderfer?
Hey, Chris, just call me Phil.
You got it.
Well, he is that did spell winner.
You know what? I read Matt Kenseth. He's not a pushy guy on the racetrack, but he pushed Jack Roush to get Drew to be his crew chief, and that he had a lot of. He felt like he and Drew had a lot in common.
I think the key thing right now is what this guy's brought to the table, guys, has to be the motivation of this team overall. I'm talking about from the pit crew. He's got his driver fired up. I believe he's got everybody right now thinking that they're invincible, and so far, They have been.
And I don't know how to spell his name, but here's a word he needs to look up: Hubris.
Not humorous. But Jack Roush did say we needed a coach kind of guy, and it freed up Chip Bolin to spend more time getting the car ready. So the team thing has worked really well. All right, Bill Richards, our producer. Where would we? Are we talking Carl Edwards now? Is that what we're going to do? Okay. All right. If anybody can stop Matt Kenseth or his crew chief, Carl Edwards can. Carl won last year's Vegas race, even though it failed a post-race inspection. He was docked the championships, but he has won 16 times, and win number 17 would deny his Roush Fenway teammate in the 17 car, Matt Kenseth, his third straight victory.
Will it be another backflip day in Las Vegas? Carl Edwards coming for the lead. Carl wins. Flying by. Carl Edwards will go to victory lane.
2 in a row. Way to go, Carl.
And the odds makers had Carl Edwards as one of the co-favorites for today's race, but a work in progress trying to search out that field you've been looking for. Do you feel like you made the big gain you needed for today?
I hope so. I don't know if it's a good sign or a bad sign, but last night I called Bob Osborne about 10:30, and he didn't answer the phone. He was already asleep, so he wasn't up all night working on it, and he must have some confidence then. His Aflac Fusion was fast enough, but it would kind of fall off, and we couldn't run the same speed some of these guys could yesterday. But the track changes a lot. It changed a lot yesterday, and hopefully that falls in our laps, I guess. And it's a really great place to race at, and it's even better to win. So hopefully we can do it.
And this Roush Couture went to victory lane last year, looking for the repeat. He'll roll off 16th. Dick?
Well, Jimmy Johnson had won 3 in a row here at the Las Vegas Speedway until last year. We're not going to talk about that. That was kind of ugly. But you start on the pole today. What you got for us?
I think we've got a good race car. Last week we were competitive and things kind of slipped from us, but we have a good idea what went on, and used these practice sessions to find some new stuff and really work with the balance of our car without having any testing. And we did a great job yesterday, and I'm hopeful that today is a good day for this Lowe's Cobalt Tools and Paula.
All right, we wish you well. Good luck. Chris Myers.
Thanks, Jimmy and Dick. Matt Kenseth is going to try to do something here that's never been done in the 61-year history of NASCAR. Richard Petty couldn't do it. Cale Yarborough, David Pearson, Dale Earnhardt, our own DW, or any other driver. That's to win 3 straight races to start the year. Matt Kenseth hopes to continue his ride for the ages.
Matt Kenseth.
My new hero. A backup car that started dead last. Matt Kenseth winless last year.
There is your Daytona 500 winner.
Bring it home, buddy.
Checkered flag.
Celebrate the good times.
Yeah!
2 for 2.
That 17 car will be a player.
Well, this past year, his beloved Green Bay Packers started off the year 2-0, but they couldn't win 3 in a row. So what about you, Matt? Can you win 3 in a row with this car today?
I seriously doubt it, but we'll see. Hopefully they've fixed it up since yesterday. So Friday wasn't very good for us, obviously. We were a qualifying effort. And yesterday we just couldn't get to do anything that we wanted to do. So Drew and Chip, worked on it hard last night and made a bunch of changes. Hopefully it'll be better.
All right, I don't know. We're in Vegas. That might be a poker face. Will we call his bluff? We'll soon find out.
All right, thanks, Chris. So we heard from some of the top names. So, Jimmy Johnson's won 3 out of the last 4, but last year was his worst finish here. He was 29th. Who do you like today?
Well, first of all, I like Carl Edwards. Okay. I'm taking Carl. But Jimmy Johnson and Chad, they got something to prove. They left here last year out of this place. Yeah. They were embarrassed. Okay. Probably the worst I'd ever seen them run. I think they even went in the garage and worked on the car once. I'm not sure. But they had a terrible race, and they're going to make up for it today if they can.
Well, I'm just going to write down what you said, taking Carl, because remember the other week he took Carl, he took Jimmy, he took Jeff.
He was just sorting
through. He just kind of went through everybody.
To make sure he's got everybody was a different make.
Yeah,
Dodge,
he was covering Ford. Fords have won the most here.
I know they have, and right now I'd have to say I like the Fords because of that reason. I'm a little bit concerned about what the Toyotas can do, and so that's the reason why I'm not really going to think about a guy like maybe Kyle Busch, who would normally be fast here. But who I'm looking at is a guy who won yesterday. I think Greg Biffle is right on the edge, just like everybody else at Roush Fenway. I think he's got a great opportunity here today to kind of upset everything because of what he did yesterday.
Yeah, Matt Kenseth with 438 laps led in Las Vegas, more than any other driver. It seems like every week we pick guys, and it's never him, and yet he keeps winning.
Well, here's an interesting thing. You got the 18 car on the pole. They're going to start from the rear, but they got the #1 pit stall. Okay. You go all the way to the other end. Matt Kenseth's got the 42nd pit stall. It's going to be interesting to see how the Killer Bees work in the pits today. That could be the difference.
Let's see. I said early on in the show, strategy would come into play, and that may wind up being the difference right there is how all these guys work it out in the end.
What are the odds we're going to have some pit problems? Gambling legal in Vegas, just about everything else is too, but the odds posted Saturday at the Mandalay Bay Hotel and Sportsbook, and fans can legally wager on the driver they like, and Jimmy Johnson, at least on Saturday, was the favorite, followed by Matt Kenseth, hoping to make history. And you see some of the guys you heard from: Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch,
Greg Biffle, 10-1.
So yeah, Biff, who did very well. We have some other. If we can go back to that odds board, it's amazing in Vegas. You can bet on everything here, including, look, they posted, for example, things like Jeff Hammond, when he misspelled Fox. You could bet on that. How many Digger? There's an over-under on Digger mentions. I think we're under that right now. And the number of, wait a minute, about Dick Berggren's age. Dick is, he's the editor of Speedway Illustrated. He was the original editor of Chariots Illustrated.
Chariots of Fire.
We kid. He still has a crush on B. Arthur. Okay, I don't. we kid because we care.
I didn't see you up there. I guess you're not. I guess you only make the odds.
You know, I'm not that much younger than Dick, so I'm getting a little worried.
Oh, but you look and act younger. All right, he's got his Digger hat on. And these are some of the guys you just heard from getting their race face on. Never mind poker face. We're counting it out to the start of the race and a conversation with Jeff Gordon in just a moment. We're live here in Las Vegas, NASCAR on Fox. People getting here any way they can. 140,000 expected for the Shelby 427. 130,000 hotel rooms, they say, in Vegas. So that means people don't have a place to go. They can show up at the racetrack and watch their favorite drivers. And we here at the Hollywood Hotel, along with you, can help fight breast cancer. Join us at Fox Sports and Susan G. Komen for the Cure to help raise critically needed funds for research and treatment. For more information, visit Komen. It's Komen, Komen.org.
You know, Chris, I had a lady come up to me behind the grandstand yesterday in tears and wanted to thank all the people at Fox Sports for supporting the Susan G. Komen Breast Fund, because she was a survivor of breast cancer, and she was just grateful for all the hard work that we're putting out.
It's nice to see people rally, and you may have seen the public service announcement that some of the drivers helped out, and if you haven't, watch for it Tuesday. You'll see it during American Idol. All right, Jeff Gordon, a four-time NASCAR champ. He's won here in Vegas before, but it's been 43 races since he hit the jackpot in victory lane. That's the longest winless streak of his career. And at age 37 years old, Jeff, he seems to be settling into fatherhood and maybe, Darrell, becoming, I don't know, an elder statesman sort of the sport?
Oh, yeah, you know, he does have a presence about him I think he hadn't had before. He's very calm, cool, and he's working really hard, and he wants to help his team win some races this year, unlike last year.
I mean, you and I didn't get to race, wheel to wheel a lot, other than the time I crashed.
I was just passing 24 car on the outside. It's just a shame when young people don't have enough respect for the people that are racing.
Don't go there. That was when you, in your rookie year.
I thought I'd bring it up before you did.
No, I wasn't going to mention it. And I don't mean to bring any negative, but we didn't win a race last year.
That's right.
As somebody that's had the success, I bet you never thought you'd go through a year and wouldn't at least win one race.
Shoot, I'm more shocked that I've ever won one. I mean, I never take it for granted. Last year was a tough year for me, for us as a team, for me and my family. I mean, it's just pulling in so many different directions. And I feel like this year, things are just seem to be lining up. And it's only 2 races in, but man, does it feel good.
Great run last week. What was up with that? Where'd that come from?
I told you before the race started, that we were going to be good. I feel the best that I felt getting in and out of the race car than I have in a long time. It's not like I'm,
I was going to say,
training for an Olympics.
Is there a reason you feel better?
Yeah, no, and I've always known that. I've been lazy. I have been, but I don't want my team out there working as hard as they do, and us have the opportunity that we have at Hendrick. To go away because I'm not putting in the effort.
Here at Vegas, pretty hard wreck here last year.
Oh, and there goes Jeff. Jeff's in the inside wall, hard into the wall. Oh,
maybe, I think you said maybe the hardest hit you've taken.
Definitely the hardest I've ever hit at that angle, because it was with that right front corner and took a lot of load, and things are moving inside that never had moved it like they did during that wreck. I'm confident they've made improvements. My job is to make sure I don't hit it. And I'm not even going to focus on it. I'm going to go out there and run a race. I think we got a great opportunity to get the finish that we were capable of getting here last year.
What's the plan? I mean, is there going to be a little Jeff we could put out there one of these days? I don't think that Ingrid's going to allow Ella to get out there and go racing.
We've recognized just how much goes into being a parent, especially at our age, and it's a lot. I think in the next year we'll probably start
Thinking about that?
number 2.
Yeah, okay, so tell me about Sesame Street.
Ella, every morning, Elmo. She just wants to watch Elmo, all the time. And I got a call, hey, would you like to do Sesame Street? I was like, heck yeah. So they did this whole script on a race, on a NASCAR race, but with worms. So it was called WASCAR. So I see the script and I'm like, it's funny, they got me as a commentator, but hey, cool.
Try out. It's a tryout.
I'll try it out. Why not? And so I go in there and I'm talking to the writers and they're like, now, you're retired, right? And I was like, wait a minute, now I know why they made me a commentator. They thought I was retired.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, so I got a kick out of that.
If I say boogity, 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 what are you going to say?
I'm going to say wiggly, wiggly, wiggly. No, squiggly, squiggly, squiggly. Let's go worm racing.
I tell you, leave the announcing to you, right? Let him do the racing. But I've really enjoyed the interviews the last couple of weeks with Dale Jr. and Jeff. I mean, you're getting the side of these guys. I think people are appreciating.
My question is, who's next week?
Well, I don't know. We're working on it. But, yeah, I have enjoyed this totally, man.
Yeah,
it's been fun.
But the problem next week is you got to show up on time. Daryl, I know you're a busy guy, but he kept Jeff Gordon. Super G had to wait for you.
Oh, I'm ready. Whenever DW gets here, I'm ready. Yeah. Nope, that's not him. Holy cow! I tell you what, I can't remember the last time I did an interview where I was there before the interviewer.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, Chris, he does the same thing to us here in the hotel.
All right, so what would you tell him?
I didn't want to tell him I was out interviewing some guys that had won some races. But no. I was really, I couldn't get through in security. I didn't have my hard card with me.
You kid me because you care. Like, people don't know who you are.
Hey, last interview now with Jeff Gordon.
I'm just kidding, Jeff. That was just thrown in. I didn't write that.
All right, but when you get to this point, Daryl, a little later in the career, and you've been a champ before, there's only the desire. It's a different kind of struggle, isn't it?
But you know what? It's kind of like a rebirth for him. He's got his family now, and he's working out. He's trying to get himself in the best shape he's ever been in. I think it's going to be a good year for him. I think he's going to win several races this year.
And he's always comfortable on TV. I catch him with Regis and Kelly. Now he's got Sesame Street. If
he's a busy guy. He's got the winery and the driver's
That's right.
Yep. He's got a lot going on.
But I got to agree with you about the wins.
Yeah.
I think they're right around the corner.
It could be today.
Yep.
He's busy, but he was on time. No, hey, we don't want to. But he's a
that really
guy
coming from him.
I know.
What? I'm always on time for you guys in your Elvis outfits. Let's talk about Jeff in terms of his legacy already left on the sport, and who's the next Jeff Gordon? Is it a Carl Edwards? Is it a Kyle Busch?
I love the endorsement he gave Kyle Busch. I just thought that was spectacular for him to say about Kyle Busch what he did.
Yep.
Kyle Busch is the future of our sport. 23 years old, got talent, more talent than anybody.
And Kyle said that's his idol, but also if there's a West Coast racing idol, Mr. Shelby, who the race is named after.
Exactly right. Yeah, I can't believe that. They're finally giving this guy, I think, really his just deserve as far as that's concerned. He is a legend in the automotive world as well as racing.
All right, let's continue, and let's get caught up with some of the other NASCAR news during the week. In case you haven't caught these items, major malfunctions. Hendrick Motorsports officials say that bad engine parts from their supplier led to the engine failures of Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt Jr. at the Auto Club 500 in Fontana. They were 39th and 40th. Meanwhile, Kyle Busch questioned this week about joining an American F1 team. He said, here's a quote, "I tossed the idea around. It's definitely something I wouldn't shoot down." And Greg Biffle taking the checkered flag in the nationwide race at the Sam's Town 300 here in Vegas. His first win in that series since the year of 2006. All right, time for Gas and Go, presented by Ask.com. And no one knows the contents of these questions. They have been sealed in the empty tiger cage of Siegfried and Roy. All right, work with me here. You're on the clock, Daryl. All right, why is Jeff Burton off to such a slow start? 31st in points, but he's been a guy up there in the last few years.
It could be some of the chemistry over there at Childress's. They're notorious for not qualifying well, have good consistent race cars, but they haven't qualified that well. I just think that maybe the chemistry has got to get working a little bit better there.
All right, we'll go to
the fourth team being added.
Yeah, maybe that too.
Yeah, I wonder what he was doing with it. All right, Jeff, do you see Mark Martin getting his first win for Hendrick soon? Could it happen today? He's had success here before.
He's had success here. Yes, it could wind up being today, but I think it may be a little bit further along. I think they're still missing just little things to finally get him exactly where he needs to be. He was pretty happy at the end of that practice yesterday, so you never know. He won the nationwide race here for Rick a year ago, or Rick and Dale, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Racing. So he's always a good chance no matter where he shows up.
He's been a regular in the top 10. All right, Darrell, beside the pit problems, Biffle looked good last week, the Nationwide. What do you think of him today?
He's got a fast car, and, anytime you can win on Saturday, a lot of times you can parlay that into a win on Sunday. We saw him in the chase last year. He was spectacular, won the first 2 races. I'd put a little money on him. I wouldn't double down, but I'd put a little money on him.
All right, I love that Vegas talk.
I think I wound up betting on him earlier, didn't I?
That was the odds were pretty good. And this is our Ask.com answer that comes from a viewer, and we appreciate that. And, Jeff, this is for you. Why aren't there speedometers in race cars?
That's a good question, Chris. I mean, in the very beginning, speedometers would not work in race cars. They weren't applicable. They wouldn't keep up. But by today's standards, they could be in there because we have GPS stuff. But we got so accustomed to using the tachometer and the stopwatches that I guess, we just got kind of old school.
I used that same excuse when I got pulled over for speeding.
Didn't look at your
speedometer. Tire size, all kind of things can affect the speedometer.
All right, Darrell, is this a good track for Dale Earnhardt Jr.? He's finished second here twice, including last year.
Yeah, I think what Junior's got to do is he's got to really suck it up today, and he's got to really drive hard and try to put the first 2 races behind him. They've been disastrous. He needs to get out there today and put on a good show, get him a good finish, and get some momentum. And if he doesn't, he's slipping back out of the top 35. That would be terrible.
He was good in practice
early.
the other day.
He was pretty good.
All right, Jeff, a third race since the track was reconfigured. Darrell talked a little about it at the start of the show. The changes helping or hurting for drivers and their comfort level?
It definitely helps. I mean, this racetrack is fast, but the guys really like the way they can get to the bottom. They can run the middle or they can run the top, and I think it'll just get better with years.
The tires this time are really good, too.
Worth watching. Helped a lot. Darrell, is Denny Hamlin, is he a team captain or a leader for Joe Gibbs Racing, even though he's a young driver?
Well, he's the senior member of the Gibbs Racing group over there. So, yeah, I've heard he stepped up, and I've seen him put his arm around Joey Logano, and he and Kyle both have done that. So, yeah, I think he's playing the role that they expected him to. All right, good job at it.
Finally, what's your favorite casino game? Do you have one?
I like roulette. How about you?
Me win.
All right. Yeah, you win. And you won. You had a video poker, big payout.
How did you win?
It was so embarrassing.
I told you, those dime slot machines, you're never going to make that much money on one of them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go there. You don't even know how much money I won.
You had a shirt out, all the nickels were pouring in. If you have a question that you'd like Jeff or Darrell to answer, and we'll do it on this show, you can email to askdw@ask.com. The question selected will be asked live next week in Atlanta. And it should be a lot of fun.
And pushing that old lady out of the way, that wasn't nice.
The headliners in Vegas are the drivers of NASCAR, but at night there are a lot of great shows to see around town. We always like ducking out of the Hollywood Hotel and into some comedy and magic around town. And in the past, Jeff and I went to see Penn and Teller in person with their clever card tricks. And also Lance Burton last year showed us some fun stuff, had us baffled, which doesn't take much. Darrell and Jeff, they enjoyed the Beatles show called Love.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Our producer,
Great show.
Bill Richards, he won't let it be. He's been trying to make Jeff and I disappear for quite some time.
Well, you want to hold his hand? Is that what it is?
Harrah's Las Vegas. Matt King, comedy and magic extraordinaire. We thank you for helping us out here. And I don't want to be rude, but the clothes, get that at Jeff Hammond's closet?
What's wrong with that?
I wear this to every race.
I kind of like it.
It'll come into style at some point. So what do you have for us?
I'm going to show you a quick card trick.
Okay.
I'm going to fan these out so you can see a bunch of different cards. I want you to think of any card there.
Oh, you got to think.
All right, I can smell the wood.
Got it?
All right, I got something.
Saw it in here?
Yeah, I saw it in here.
All right, stare deeply into my eyes. Hold out your hand if you would.
This is legitimate.
And, we didn't set this up beforehand. I'm trying to find the card I think you're thinking of. It was, in fact, a diamond.
No, it was not a diamond.
But it was a red card, right?
No, I know it was a black card.
Oh, geez. Put your thumb on that so it doesn't float away. No, you're not messing up. It was the Jack of Spades.
No, it was,
what was
it was the King of Spades, actually.
The King of Spades?
Yes, the King.
Really? I feel terrible.
No,
in my jacket pocket, I've got one card.
All right.
And it is, in fact,
is that really the
Spades.
Wow, that was it. That's the one I picked. Very impressive.
You don't take much of that.
All right,
Thank you.
Only you could top this because you do magic. You hang out of that card. Now, what are you going to do with this?
This is
that for Jeff or me?
No, that's for me.
Oh, okay.
This cures your hiccup. Put a bag over your head, spin around.
Okay.
Till you're dizzy.
He's been watching our pre-race show.
Yeah.
All right. And, all right, what happens now? Wow.
Ow. That hurts.
Did we lose him? Mac's back.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Hey, can I borrow that? I'd like to.
No, that would mess my hair up.
Yeah, I don't care, but I think we need to try it one
Thanks for your help.
Can I?
Press down
He's a
hard.
two-bagger, boys.
Matt King at Harris has shows nightly tip your rear tire carrier.
Yeah, we were racing in Atlanta one time. Car was junk, and I came in for a pit stop, and the entire pit crew had bags over their heads.
Really?
So,
Like the old Saints or the Detroit Lions more recently?
Exactly.
But anyways,
Exactly right.
those card tricks, we see, Jeff, we don't always try to figure them out. We're looking, checking. Legit. It's amazing.
It's very legit. And how's your head?
Well, it's okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you wanted to leave the bag out the entire show. All right. Hey, I wanted to ask you about, I saw Roger Penske in the garage yesterday when I was hanging out. He was talking about the focus of his drivers and his race teams on the mile-and-a-half track. Said, hey, we have to be choosy about where we want to really improve. And they seem like they're getting there. And we're hitting a stretch today, a mile-and-a-half track where, maybe guys could make up some ground since we've gone through restrictor plates and 500-mile races.
Again, it's back to where all of a sudden the guys can work on the cars. They didn't do a lot of testing, so I think they're kind of knocking the rust off and getting back in the routine. And right now, yeah, the Penske group is definitely one that has looked like it's made improvements.
Now, I mentioned in the opening of the show that I thought that Matt Kenseth and Kurt Busch had made the most significant people changes. They have a new engineer over at the 2 car. There's Matt and Blick right there. And they got the new engineer over at the 2 car. They brought in some other people. Some of these people that got laid off, no jobs, a lot of good people were floating around. They brought in a few of them, and now they've got the new engine, the you might know better.
Oh, yeah, the FR9, the Ford. They're going to bring that probably in May. Start that out on a Woods
No, this is
Brother
a Dodge.
car.
We're talking Dodge.
Oh, Dodge.
But,
okay, I thought you were talking
and
about the Ford
they got the new nose on the car.
Okay.
Right.
And I tell you, Kurt looks like he's got a really good attitude about going forward this year.
He's definitely got that. He's starting up on the front row.
Right.
He's got that clean air, so he's going to be tough.
And Kyle Busch, talked about a little bit of a strategy yesterday. It looked like a little bit of a wreck fest. Do you think we might see that kind of action today?
Well, you heard Kyle say on the opening there about the tires that they didn't fit those cars yesterday. They fit these cars better today. It's a tough right side tire to go with the COT. They got a little softer left side tire for this car. I don't think we're going to see that today.
I think you got to watch them, Darrell. I really do. I think a lot of these guys are still having some issues with them, so you got to be careful about it.
Which driver will be on the money? We'll see you up in the booth. Thanks for hanging out, having fun with us, as always. Take your Elvis costume upstairs, too.
I'm going to give it to Larry. He needs
Elvis has now left the building.
And Jeff will give us some tips for the race. That's Ella, Jeff Gordon's daughter, helping him get ready for the race. Boy, talk about an age range from the young to the older to the in-between. Everybody getting ready for NASCAR on Fox from Las Vegas. Welcome back here in Las Vegas, so the stars are out for some racing. There's Cole Trickle from those days of thunder. He was at Daytona. He's enjoying this here. Some fun and good times in Vegas, but with respect and dignity, we step aside for opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Nellis Air Honor Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Las Vegas Motor Speedway track chaplain Joe Freeberger offers today's invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for giving us a great day for racing. We ask that you would bless and protect these drivers and their crews and the fire and safety personnel and all present. We ask a special blessing, Lord, for our brave men and women who serve in the defense of this great nation of ours. It's in your name that we pray. Amen.
Please welcome the cast of the Tony Award-winning musical, The Jersey Boys, now playing at the Palazzo Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas as they perform our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad streets and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet
From the Jersey boys, let's go racing, boys. 140,000 expected here in Las Vegas. Can anybody stop the amazing Matt Kenseth? We're getting ready to roll in the Shelby 427. We're glad you're with us live. NASCAR on Fox. Carl Edwards in his Aflac Ford getting ready to roll here. They've extended this race, making it about 27 miles longer than it has previously been, but shorter than the two races we've had this year in Fontana and then Daytona, of course, 500 miles. Jeff Abbott, Chris Myers from the Hollywood Hotel getting ready to set it upstairs to start the race. And Jeff, your Verizon Championship Racing checklist.
Yeah, as each weekend, we want to make sure we know what's going on with these race cars. And this week, well, we're going to take a look at the tire situation. Now, Darrell and some of the other guys said, hey, you don't worry about the tires. I think you still need to, because they can get you in trouble. A lot of guys have spun out this week. Be ready for the bumps. 1 and 2, a lot of bumps down there on the low side. Look for guys to move up, try to avoid them. And number 3, as always, we're worried about pit road. Don't get caught speeding. Yesterday during the nationwide race, 12 guys given speeding tickets, 32 pit road infractions total. It can cost you.
As a former champion crew chief, you're always watching close. Hey, watch for the 13 car today, driven by Italy's Max Pappas. He's a rookie. When he raced his way into the field, he couldn't put the brakes on his emotions.
Wow, so happy. Good job. It's an awesome day.
Congratulations.
Man, my first cup race on a novel. Awesome job. Really proud.
Good job. Happy for you.
Mucho bueno. Hey. Mucho bueno. Great job.
He's really excited.
Hey.
A 39-year-old rookie, and reminds me of that movie. Remember Life is Beautiful? Roberto Benigni, when he won the Oscar, he was jumping all over the. That's how Max. That's the emotion. Him and his wife just had a baby, so he's got a lot going on.
He doesn't look like a Mad Max, does he?
No, he looks like a guy who's happy. One of 3 rookies, Joey Logano, Scott Speed, also guys trying to get going here.
Well, this shows how important it is to get into one of these races. This guy's raced all over the world, Chris, and you can see how excited and how much it means to him.
How about the strategy of measuring after Daytona? It's kind of a 3-race set to establish where you think you'll figure in the long haul for the championship.
Well, this is how you start digging in. I mean, this is one of those important races. We don't run here but once a year, so you've got to come in here and make the most of it. And as I said earlier, making points here are so important. It's so important to guys like Tony Stewart. I mean, he's got this new team going. He's doing great so far, 4th in points. There's Michael Waltrip in the top 10. All these guys know you've got to make it happen.
Those famous words in racing we love to hear here in Vegas. And no, I don't mean you've been comped. I mean these words.
Race fans, please welcome racing and automotive legend, Mr. Carroll Shelby, as he delivers the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Can Matt Kenseth make it 3 in a row and capture history? Will Dale Earnhardt Jr. end his streak? What about 18-year-old Joey Logano? Is it a Busch Brothers turn in Vegas? Will there be some wrecks? The answer is straight ahead on Fox. We're back in Las Vegas. Our 5 engine changes, so already a lot of shuffling going on as we head upstairs. Before we do, from our Hollywood Hotel, Jeff Hammond's been enjoying himself in the garage and in the casino. He's got a deck of cards that will help us figure out.
I got my own card trick right now.
What do you got?
I mean, right now, think about it. The ace of spades has got to be Matt Kenseth. He has definitely been on a roll.
I'm with you.
And then all of a sudden, the joker in the deck for the day might be his teammate. He won last time. He may be ready to upset the apple cart, but the guy's still king of the hill. Jimmy Johnson won here 3 out of 4 races. But the guy in the wild card situation today, he may be kind of close to your heart. Dale Earnhardt.
Could be the ace in the hole. Oh, let's welcome in Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, and Darrell Waltrip, guys.
Thanks, Chris. Once again, hi, everybody. We are ready to race in Las Vegas. Bright sun, no chance of rain for the first Sprint Cup race this year. But, Darrell, I see a furrow, a furrowed brow there, and I don't think it's the remnants of that Elvis wig. What's worrying you?
No, really, there's a number of things. First of all, tires. I always worry about tires when I can hammer the car the way these guys are able to do it lap after lap. So that's a concern. The other big concern I have is getting on pit road. Yesterday, we saw a lot of penalties in the pits, and we've seen some issues with guys sliding through their pit boxes and everything else. So today, yeah, I got a lot of things to take care of on the track, but also got a lot of worries on when I get myself down pit road, not to speed and not to slide through my pit box.
Now, Larry, this is a new race length, 427 miles, the Shelby 427, 18 extra laps. How do you wind this race backwards and set your strategy?
Well, it's the first time this year we've been able to do that because we're not chasing the weather, just like you said. But there's no question that that's on these crew chiefs' mind. And the one thing, because this tire has so much grip, the pace doesn't slow down. I think when we get down to those last 27 to 50 miles, that's when the crew chief, unlike Daytona, unlike Auto Club Speedway, they're going to be thinking, what can I do to get track position? Maybe I want to just do 2 right side tires, or maybe just possibly stay out and keep that track position, because it's a little tough to pass here until this groove really moves up the racetrack.
Well, if you're going to gamble, what better place?
That's it.
Let's have a look at the starting lineup for today's race. Todd Bodine earned the 43rd spot, the champion's provisional not needed here. Scott Speed and Casey Mears. Speed, one of those 5 engine changes, has to drop to the back. Well, he's already there. Matt Kenseth, don't worry about Matt starting out back. That's where he usually wins from. Jamie Mack and Clint Boyer in the 19th row. Paul Menard back there with David Reagan at row number 18. Reagan a 30-1 shot here. Elliott Sadler, Denny Hamlin, row 17. Dale Jr. back with Robbie Gordon in the 16th row. And at row 15, John Andretti and California's David Gilliland. We're going to skip all the way up to the front row, Darrell.
Yeah, let's talk to Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch, it's DW Fox Sports. Got a copy there, buddy?
10-4, DW. What's up?
Hey, buddy. Good to see you up there on that front row today. I know that the team has gotten stronger, gotten better. What are your odds today?
Well, we feel like we've done a lot of work during the offseason, and I hope that it's beginning to pay off. Roger Penske's a stand-up guy. I've got a great crew behind me, great sponsors like Miller Lite and Dodge to keep pushing for. So I feel like our odds are pretty good. I'm as pumped up as everybody right now. I want to lead this first lap, but I got to get to mile marker 427 to win it.
Roger that, buddy. Yeah, it looks like that team is really gelling for you, and you've had some good performance. What's made the difference in your mind?
Well, I feel like it's been an overall gain in downforce and horsepower that the Dodges has made, as well as just team communication. And then we added a couple key people behind the scenes, and everybody's just pulling hard, knowing that Penske Racing wants to be stronger.
All right, my friend. Good luck to you, and it is your home track, so bring it home.
You got a little home track advantage.
Let's take a look at our FedEx Understanding the Race. This is the trends or patterns that crew chiefs look at, even though this is only the 3rd race on this new configuration. The average number of cautions, 7. Now this is looking at the last 8 races here of NASCAR on Fox. The first caution on the average comes roughly about lap 27, but 5 times in those 8 races it's come before lap 15. The longest green flag run, 66 laps. A fuel run here is about 52 to 56 laps, so we definitely normally get at least 1 green flag pit stop. And the last caution, this is a little deceiving, lap 227, but remember, the race is 18 laps longer, 285 this year versus 267 in the past.
We are ready to race. Let's hope you are too. Make it a great race day with a perfect balance of flavor and refreshment with Budweiser, the great American lager. Today's race, 427 miles, honoring the great Carroll Shelby and his Cobras, and the Shelby facility right alongside the Speedway here, so a new distance.
285 laps, 427 miles, pit road speed 45 miles per hour. As DW said, a lot of cars busted yesterday in the nationwide race. The pit window for Sunoco race fuel, 52 to 56 laps. You heard Jeff Hammond in the pre-race talk about the Toyota engine. You see right there, 5 of them going to the rear because of an engine change, including our pole sitter, Kyle Busch.
And there's something in the air. I mean, when you come to Las Vegas, this is one of the most exciting weekends that we have at a racetrack, and we're going to have a great race today, too.
Now Kyle Busch will take the green flag at the back, about 37th or 39th. But no matter what happens, he will still be credited as starting from the pole. Hi, Digger.
You're going to have your work cut out for you there, Digger.
Keep her low, Digger.
That's a Shelby GT500 pacing the field, the new 2010 model. And it peels off, and we're ready to go.
DW, Las Vegas. How about let's roll snake eyes, reach up there and pull those belts tight. 1,
Jimmy Johnson leads the first lap from Kurt Busch as Brad Keselowski in the 5th Hendrick car. The 25 got into the wall off turn 4.
I believe he's got a tire down.
Yeah, well, he damaged the car in turn 4, and the same thing happened to him yesterday. He's got tires down now.
Spun it.
He damaged the car down here in turn 4, and then he hit it again in turn 1.
Get going when you can.
So caution at lap 2 for rookie Brad Keselowski. And let's watch the 25 car off turn 4. Right side of your screen, the green car.
Yep, just got loose on him and snapped around, popped the rear end up against the outside retaining wall. The car's damaged now, and you can see it just, he's out of control.
Digger long to get down in that hole.
Digger's got a real knack for finding the right place to be, or the wrong place to be. I'm not sure which.
Now Rick Hendrick has 4 full-time teams. The NASCAR cap on team ownership allows them to field a 5th team for a limited number of races for a rookie driver. So that's why 500 cars in this race.
Yeah, and you know what, Larry? It's no big surprise to me that 48 car jumped out front like that. He was fast in practice yesterday. I think our buddy Kurt Busch is a little disappointed. He wanted to lead that first
Yes,
lap.
he did here at home.
Matt Kenseth trying to win 3 in a row, be the first driver to win the season's first 3 races. But Dick Berggren, what's up with the 17?
The engine is not cooperating with Matt Kenseth. It shut off on the back stretch, and he said it is sounding kind of funny now. So they're going to bring it in. He has recommended that they check the plug wires.
Kenseth is 39th.
Well, what a lucky break.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's something they can quickly repair, if it is a plug wire, that's huge.
How about Denny Hamlin? He's going to get at least right side tires, and they're going under the hood on Kenseth's car.
Marcos Ambrose, the 47 car is in.
No driver has won the Daytona 500 and the next 2 races in NASCAR history. Daytona wasn't always the first race. No driver's ever won the first 3 races of a season.
I believe it had a plug wire off, Larry. I saw everybody dive in there, all hands, and looks like it may have had a plug wire off.
I just can only remember what he told Krista in the pre-race. He just didn't have a good feeling about winning 3 in a row.
Dick?
Well, the engine still doesn't sound right, and he did say just before he left that he thought it was going to blow up.
Thanks, Dick. Now let's show you what happened to Denny Hamlin, because he's damaged the right front corner of his car. Here's his onboard camera. That's Joe Nemechek just in front of him.
Joe's slowing down and for the 25 of Keselowski. Interesting thing yesterday, Denny Hamlin got run into from behind. Today he run into someone from behind.
What do we talk about at the top of the show about you make a lot of your own luck here in Vegas? Matt Kenseth, too fast exiting pit road, tail end of the longest line.
I think that was one of Jeff Hammond's keys, was don't get caught speeding on pit road. At 45 miles per hour is actually kind of slow for this 1.5 mile racetrack.
I forget, I think there was something like 32 penalties on pit road yesterday. This is a tough pit road.
Aflac trivia. What's the worst qualifying position of a driver to win a race in what is now NASCAR's Sprint Cup Series? Here's a hint. Only 2 races in history have been won by a driver that qualified worse than 39th. Here's Kristen.
Mike, want to update you on the 11. Denny Hamlin, as you saw there on the replay from his inboard camera on his FedEx Toyota, had a little bit of right front damage, just a little bit. He came in, they wanted to just put some tape on it, get it fixed up, go ahead and take advantage and put on the tires. Denny came on the radio and said, how bad is it? Mike Ford, his crew chief, said, you're good to go.
That was just a little kiss, and this nose is so tough that you can get away with running into something and not do a lot of damage.
Looks like we're ready for our Claritin Clear to Drive restart. Live Claritin Clear indoors and out. Kyle Busch picked up 5 positions on the racetrack, and with some drivers pitting, he is now 32nd.
And with this restart here on lap 5, this is not a big deal on the penalty on Matt Kenseth at 17, tailing the longest line. He was basically back there anyhow because of coming to pit road.
Yeah, I think he's got bigger issues than that. I don't think speeding down pit road is his only problem. As they restart here, you see him fall straight to the back.
He is not coming up to speed.
Not at all.
Dick Berggren.
Well, Kenseth has just told his crew that he will be on pit road within 2 laps. They're trying to decide whether they should try to find out which cylinder is down and then disconnect the spark plug on that cylinder and back off a rocker so that he can run the race on 7. But Matt Kenseth will not win 3 in a row.
I wouldn't count him out, Doc. Let me tell you why. I wouldn't come to pit road until I got lapped or was ready to get lapped to buy myself as much time as I could. And the way these guys are racing, we're going to have another caution right away.
Well, just
no, never mind. He just blew up.
Now we're starting to see
yeah,
smoke out the exhaust
he just
pipe.
blew up.
I think he may be the caution.
He is now. Well, he's down on the apron. They have not thrown the yellow flag.
Oh, got a car around on the back, too. A couple of cars.
All right, back up, guys. Pretty damn.
Yellow flag.
Things are happening. I knew there'd be another caution. Let me tell you why. This racetrack is hot. It's slick. I think that's causing some problems.
Todd Bodine was the car that spun off turn 2, and just prior to that, Kyle Busch made a 3-wide pass, and he was all the way down on the track apron to do it, coming past start finish. He is now up to 31st. And let's watch from Denny Hamlin and see what happened to the 64 of Todd Bodine.
This could very well be somebody hollered cautions out, or there's going to be a caution. Nah, I don't think he even touched him.
I think he just got loose
also
on his
got
own.
a blown engine going.
Didn't even touch him. The car just turned around. We saw that so many times yesterday. Spin out all by yourself.
Oh boy, Elliott Sadler got a piece of something there.
And damage.
As caution is out for the 2nd time today in Las Vegas.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. By Sprint, get NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile only from Sprint, only on the Now Network. By Toyota, moving forward. And by Aflac. Ask about it at work.
This race has had a bizarre beginning for several teams. Here comes Martin Truex with the axle shaft sticking out of the hub.
Now, folks, don't panic. He just lost his hubcap. That's all.
Yeah, there's a little aluminum hubcap that goes right in the center, right there where you see the axle at right there, and it's held in normally by 3 bolts. And I've got to believe that those bolts were not tight to come out this early.
The car that Elliott Sadler hit trying to get past Todd Bodine was the 47 of Marcus Ambrose. A lot of damage to the back of Ambrose's car. As we get ready to go back to green, let's try this for the 3rd time today.
Well, you know, I watched that race yesterday and I said, it's just got to be because it's a nationwide race. I don't know what the excuse today is. Maybe it's because we're in Vegas.
Now, we do need to mention we had some more cars that pitted that time. One in particular, the 18 car, Kyle Busch, came to pit road fuel only by that crew there. Denny Hamlin was on pit road, A.J. Allmendinger, Robbie Gordon, and you saw Martin Truex Jr., who's still sitting on pit road.
I just wouldn't have come in right now, Larry. I would have stayed out. He was gaining track position. I wouldn't have put myself back in harm's way like he is right now.
I was a little surprised coming that early.
Yeah, if you're just going to take fuel, I wouldn't have done that.
Matt Kenseth will not get his three-peat. He's in the garage with Dick Berggren.
Mechanics are under the hood of your car, Matt. How is it possible after all of the practice and qualifying on this same engine that we could just start the race and it would blow?
It's a great question. I have no idea. So, yeah, you'd think you'd almost would have seen something last night. But it's really disappointing. But yet, on the other hand, the guys at Roche Chase Engines do an awesome job. I think it's the first failure we've had in over 2 years. So, it's just unfortunate we didn't even get to race. We don't even really know what we had. You know, but I don't think it's going to be the first one you're going to see today. There's a lot of sustained, real high RPM here. And I've been actually worried about it all weekend. We talked about gears and different things. But everybody thought it was going to be all right. So, it's just disappointing, but don't really know what else to say. I'll have to try again next week, I guess.
We'll see you in Atlanta. Thank you.
Matt Kenseth came in as the Sprint Cup point leader, of course, with 2 victories in 2 races.
And we documented yesterday. We were watching practice, and when they talk about hanging RPM, what he's talking about is the engine never really gets a chance to breathe much. It's operating above 8,000 RPM with a high of about 9,500. That's a really small range, and the engine never really gets a break. It's always at high RPM.
Darrell, I was just looking. They only ran about 40 laps total yesterday between the two practices, which is not a lot of laps at a 1.5 mile racetrack.
Now, you talked about should Kyle Busch have pitted. Well, he's had no trouble getting back to where he was running where the caution came out. He's already up to 31st after that stop.
Oh, I'm sure they'll make it work. I just wouldn't want to put myself back there amongst guys that seem to be running over each other early in the race.
And I think what Steve Addington was thinking, we seemed like we already had an outbreak of cautions. What he would have loved to have seen right there is about 5 or 6 laps. Another caution, knowing that a lot of the guys up front might come to pit road for fuel. They'd stay out and keep the track position.
Let's go back to the second caution flag and watch as Todd Bodine spins 2 cars trying to get through the smoke. Top of your screen. The first will be Marcus Ambrose.
That's Marcus coming just to the left of the screen there. And then watch Elliott Sadler run over his left rear tire. I mean, I don't know how it didn't kill the 19 car.
And you know, Darrell, in the spotter's defense, those drivers were probably about on their own with that much smoke back there on the back straightaway. I don't know that a spotter could even tell them what to do, where to go.
Kurt Busch started this race from the outside pole and runs in the second position. Steve.
Well, Mike, as DW talked to him before the race, he grew up 20 miles from here. He said winning here would be like Tony Stewart winning at the Brickyard. He just told Pat Tryson he's tight with the front, but loose with the rear. Krista?
Well, for folks watching at home who now know there won't be a Triple Crown winner, Matt Kenseth out. But wait a second, that means the field is now wide open. The card shark has left the blackjack table, and that's good news for Kevin Harvick. RCR, Richard Childress Racing, has never won a Cup race here at Vegas. Their best finish, Harvick's 4th last year. Right now, Kevin Harvick is just a little bit tight in the center.
Brian Newman running in 4th place. A lot of folks looked at that paint scheme last week in California and thought of Dale Earnhardt. The black, the silver, the red trim, little similarity to the Childress number 3 paint scheme, but it is not an intentional tribute car or anything like that.
What I'm liking today, though, is here's Strimmy in the 12 car for Penske. What I'm liking about Ryan Newman today is he's starting this race without any problems.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's all he wants to do is see the checkered flag without an issue. When you look at all the cars they went through at Daytona and then had the problem last week, even when the race started with the end plate on the wing.
At 42 is Juan Pablo Montoya having a top 10 run as he tries to hold off Carl Edwards. Matt.
Mike, one of the biggest movers, started in 23rd, now up to 8th. He says the car is great. He wouldn't really change much as far as handling if they were to pit now. Brian Patty responded, whatever you ate for breakfast, keep eating it for the rest of the year. But his mirror is filling up with Carl Edwards, who says his car, excellent.
See, I think Brian Patty really turned that 42 team around last year. Latter part of the year when he stepped in as crew chief. And the reason I think that is because he and Montoya speak the same language. They talk a lot alike, and I think it's really a good combination.
Here's Matt Kenseth's teammates. The guy that won this race a year ago, Carl Edwards, in the 99, started 14th. He's cracked the top 10. In fact, he's in 9th right now.
And the other thing I like about Brian Patty, normally he doesn't show up to finish. He shows up to win.
You know, Penske is well represented in the top 10 right now. Sam Hornish Jr., of course, he's fallen into the clutches of Bobby Labonte in the 96, but Sam Hornish in that 77, he actually looked pretty good in practice yesterday, had a good qualifying run, and he's just outside the top 10 right now.
Greg Biffle, another of the Roush Fenway drivers who had a great run yesterday, winning the Samstown 300 in the Nationwide Series, breaking a long victory drought in that series. So there's Biffle stalking Sam Hornish, and that will change 11th place. Up front, he qualified 3rd, moved up to the pole position, and he has led every one of the 22 laps so far. Jimmy Johnson.
And it's staying that way.
Jimmy Johnson going below the line to lap cars here. That's not out of bounds as it is at Daytona and Talladega. He's led every one of the 29 laps so far.
And they left here at this race last year embarrassed, but I think today their intentions are to embarrass everyone else.
I think so. In 2,212 races in what's now NASCAR's Sprint Cup Series, only twice has a driver started worse than 40th, qualified worse than 40th, and won the race. The 1950 the first Southern 500. Johnny Mance in a Plymouth started 43rd, and at the 1 mile Raleigh Fairgrounds, the first NASCAR super speedway to have lights, 1953, Fonnie Flock, the winner. But since 1953, it's never happened.
Wow.
That's trivial. That's Affleck.
You know, as I said that about Jimmy Johnson, and I was just thinking, last weekend he walked the dog on them for about the first 100 miles, and all of a sudden that car went off. So you're not out of the woods yet there, I don't think. They're going to probably hold their breath till they get down, maybe halfway. Car's still running this good.
You are absolutely right, because I know that was very puzzling to Chad's crew chief as to why they got off. He said they got off on their changes and they just could never get it back. The one difference here today, I think other than rubber going down on the racetrack, the track is not going to go through a huge transition like last week when we started in daylight and ended at night. There you see Chad Knaus, Jimmy's crew chief, on top of the pit box.
Well, as hot as it is, though, you're going to slide more. You're going to slide up the hill more, even if you're trying not to. So that could be a factor, too.
David Rudiman driving for Michael Waltrip, running 24th after taking the green flag 40th. Did he catch the wall a little bit ago? Let's see here.
Coming off turn 4, car just slides up the racetrack. Yeah, you see the black mark he left, but
a little bit of dust flying. This car is pretty tough. I tell you, we've seen these things scrape the wall.
Right behind the right rear, Roger.
That's his spotter.
He was trying to pass John Andretti at the time.
And Rudiman was one of those cars we talked about at the top of the show. Had a great qualifying run on Friday. Looked awfully good in both practices.
Good time, Steve.
And then had to go to the rear of the field because of the engine change.
A perfect day for racing. 70 degrees. Bright sunshine, a few wispy clouds, and no chance of rain. Sorry to those of you in the eastern United States that are becoming snowbound over the next 24 hours.
You see the American flag there blowing a little bit. I don't think we have near as much wind today as we've had the last couple of days, but Darrell talked about that 12 car, David Stremme. He may very well, other than maybe our leader right now, have about the best race car out there, because he has run Kevin Harvick in the 29 and Kurt Busch in the 2 down.
Yeah, he's one of the ones that did the tire test here. There were 4 of them: Carl Edwards and Mark Martin, Stremme, and Brian Vickers, one from each manufacturer. And I think it's really paying off for that 12 car because he looks fast.
Now Jimmy Johnson has a 2-second lead, but from Kurt Busch on back, things are closing up for second place. Steve.
Mike, you talked about Jimmy Johnson down around the bottom. He said the bottom is good, but he told Chad Knaus, I can't arch it in like I did yesterday. Overall, the car just a little bit tight. Chad Knaus saying car will get better as we put more laps on this racetrack.
Yeah, he's only beating everybody by 2/10 right now. They need to work on that thing. I really think that's what happened to him last week. I think sometime, I know the driver has a lot of input. Sometime you got to really not listen to him and just watch his stopwatch.
Riding with Carl Edwards in the 99 car, started back in 14th. He's moved up in the top 5, trying to go. He will accomplish, I think, going by David Stremme in the 12. That will be for 4th.
So, Mike, one thing I think these drivers have failed to still realize, this car will never be perfect. This car will never drive the way the driver wants it to. You've got to look at your car versus everybody else's car. And you're better than everybody else, and that's all that matters.
And that's a function of the rules package and the COT platform, but it's the same opportunity for everybody.
And that's where that crew chief sometimes has to be a pretty good salesman, looking at the score monitor, because that'll tell the story right there.
Jimmy Johnson has led the first 42 laps of this race. The most laps a driver has led from the start here, 50 by Jeff Gordon in 2003. He crashed late in the race, didn't win that day.
I believe he's going to have his hands full here just shortly because Carl Edwards in that 99 is picking them up and laying them down. He just drives by Kurt Busch in the 2. That moves him into second, about 2 seconds behind leader Jimmy Johnson.
What I like about that 99 car, I've noticed him, he can run high and make passes, or he can take her down on the white line and make passes.
The defending champion of this race, Carl Edwards. Let's have a look at the biggest movers through the field. Jamie McMurray, Jeff Gordon.
Jeff Gordon just cracked the top 10, and not surprised at that 26 car. He's been good the whole time we've been here. He just didn't get a good qualifying run in.
Well, he's been good this first 3 races. I mean, he was great at Daytona, had a good car last week at Fontana, and running good today.
How about Jeff Gordon, Matt?
Mike, at the conclusion of last week's race at Fontana, Steve Letarte looked at his race car, which almost went to victory lane, and said, we're calling an audible. We're going to swap the cars that we were going to run. This is the car that almost won with at Fontana. They made a major changeover with the driveline, swapping that out, the engine, the running gear, the brakes. They did that this week here in Las Vegas at Brendan Gaugh's race shop. Gordon very pleased with the call and very pleased with this race car early on.
These next couple laps of clean air, see if you can give us a direction. Your lap times are spectacular, man. You're real fast.
I'm real good down to 1 and 2. 3 and 4, I'm pushing, but the back end wants to step out.
Gordon cracked the top 10 back on lap 42, and communication between the Max Pappas crew and Gordon's on when they're going to hit pit road. So if it's under green, they won't have any issues pitting at the same time.
Jimmy Johnson beginning to lap cars. Casey Mears and Robbie Gordon there.
You know, I like that information that Steve Letarte was asking for. Give me feedback on your race car when you're out there and other cars are not affected. Don't give me false information.
I have a little problem, though, looking at our monitor in lap times and him telling Jeff that he has some of the best lap times out there.
He's being a salesman again.
Pretty good salesman.
Kyle Busch trying to march from the back, and here's Mears to pit road after getting lapped.
It's a little bit early, but I think there's a method to the madness with Gil Martin. You know what? We're not that far. We're only about maybe of the cars that didn't make a pit stop. We're within a 10-lap window. I just got lapped. Let me get in there and get fresh tires and get this car better.
Yeah, you just try to hang in there as long as you can, but once you go a lap down, you got to work. You got to come to pit road.
Kyle passing Regan Smith. That's for 22nd. There was a big pack of 4 cars that Busch had to negotiate and did so successfully. Myers McMurray, who is 17th after taking the green flag, 36th.
But Darrell, you're right. He's had a great race car. He got caught up in that wreck on the backstretch at Daytona and then had a brake line leaking last week. Looked like he had a good top 5, top 10 car.
Some concern this morning about Jamie's health. He didn't feel good getting in the car. He's been real sick, and he said that actually when he's in the car and the car goes in the corner and he pulls some G's, makes his eyes hurt real badly. So they were a little concerned about him.
It's a 1.5-mile racetrack, but Michael Waltrip in the 55 is going about 1.75 miles.
That's Booty Barker talking to Michael.
And that would be a scheduled green flag stop, but he's been basically about 2/3 away up the racetrack all the way around this track, but making up ground.
Now, isn't this the first race of the season where we've had trouble with pit road speed quite a bit? Casey Mears was just too fast entering on his green flag stop. He has to do a pass-through penalty.
And it's very easy from up here to see why. Look where the commitment cone is. I mean, you don't even get off the racetrack until you have got to be, here comes Dale Jr. on pit road right now. You got to be down to nothing when you get to that line, and that's coming off the track at 160 miles an hour.
Now, pit road speed is 45 miles an hour. That's what Dale Jr.'s at right now. They give you a 5-mile-an-hour leeway, a variance. The teams know that. And mirror speed was clocked at 50.1. Steve.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. saying his car is neutral. He doesn't need any big changes. He said, I'm a little tight in the center. The longer I run, the better it gets. Don't make any big changes on my race car. Meanwhile, Jimmy Johnson also coming down pit road saying his car is just a little bit snug. Again, no big changes as well on the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. He said the car has gotten better. He was able to arc the car in as the laps went on the racetrack, as Chad Canals promised. 4 tires for Jimmy Johnson.
Reed Sorensen, Sam Hornish in, Joe Nemechek, Casey Kane, and David Stremme. And Earnhardt too fast entering pit road.
I wonder, after 32 penalties yesterday, and they're starting the same thing again today, I wonder if somebody ever figured out it might be a little bit of an issue about getting that line moved down there, because they just can't get slowed down that quick.
Steve.
Mike, pretty aggressive changes for Kurt Busch. He says, I need some more grip. They've already made an air pressure adjustment and also a track bar. Krista.
Harvick is just a little bit tight in the center, but Kevin said, I have got something figured out. Do not make any changes. Matt.
Service already complete for the 99 of Carl Edwards. A chassis adjustment. His car just a tick on the free side going into turn 3.
Joey Logano becomes the leader of this race.
I believe that may be his first lap he's ever led in a Sprint Cup Series race.
And Kyle Busch, the second place car, Logano's teammate.
I've been watching Joey on the scoring monitor in his 20
nice
car.
and conservative this time getting on pit road. Keep coming, keep coming, keep coming now. Start braking now.
Gonna make his first green flag stop at Las Vegas.
Oh, make sure you're all your green lights.
Right there. That's where you have to start that 45 at that cone you saw.
And see, you got to get off the racetrack. You can't idle down there in that groove coming off the track. You got to come off hot or you'll get run over. So really bad situation right there.
Dick?
And the crew had warned Logano that he needed to be very, very careful on this pit stop, since it is his first hot pit stop in Sprint Cup competition. And the kid did a great job. He stopped right on the line. And this is a very experienced crew, and they did their job.
There's our leader right there, Kyle Busch in the 18 car. But remember, he pitted on lap 8 for fuel only, so he can go a few more laps, but he's coming to pit road now.
Yeah, if it had taken tires and fuel, he could have had that advantage. But with only fuel, he probably needs tires.
Regan Smith too fast entering, pass through penalty as Busch and Denny Hamlin come to pit road. Joe Nemechek just served a penalty for a missing lug nut, and Robbie Gordon's our leader. Krista?
The 11 of Denny Hamlin is in. They're making a 4-tire change and fuel. You also see an adjustment, the wrench back there to make a half up on the right rear. Matt?
Kyle Busch slides to a stop in his pit. His crew chief Steve Addington calling for a track bar adjustment. Kyle's biggest complaint, he says the car was just too free, and then right before the stop said it was almost aero free or the chassis free. A little bit of time lost on the left side. He's away.
Robbie Gordon stays on the racetrack in that 7 car, but he was another one of those cars that pitted on lap 8, so he has a few more laps he can go. And you know what? He's out there leading the race right now, and those 5 bonus points for a team trying to stay in the top 35 can be critical.
I think it was last week I called Gordon one of the last owner drivers in NASCAR. Nothing against Michael Waltrip and Tony Stewart, but those are multi-car, big operations. Robbie Gordon's is a solo effort, 1-car team. He's the driver, he's the owner, he calls the shots.
Yeah, Michael and Tony, they have partners. He comes to pit road, so that looks like it's going to cycle through these green flag stops, put Jimmy Johnson in the 48 back at the front.
And it'll put Carl Edwards just half a second behind him. It leaves Dale Earnhardt Jr. off the lead lap after a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, and I watched Junior come down pit road because I wanted to see how he got into his pit box. He was going so slow. It looked like he had slowed way down just to be sure he made no mistakes, and then gets a speeding penalty.
Now, all of these timings are electronic from the scoring transponders on the car. No stopwatches, no subjective, no guesswork. If the meter says you're speeding, you're going to pay the price.
Might need to raise the speed limit.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Budweiser. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager.
Caution is out for debris on the racetrack. Not a lot of takers on pit road. Kyle Busch, Casey Kane, Denny Hamlin, Brian Vickers, Eric Almirola, David Reagan, along with Reed Sorensen and Michael Waltrip were the only ones to come to pit road.
Now that's interesting. The 18 car was one of the last cars to come to pit road through those green flag stops. They came this time and did 4 tires and filled her up with fuel.
Brian Newman gets the free pass. And Matt, why was Kyle Busch in?
Because the complaint, Mike, from the driver was still the same. They haven't fixed the loose condition, so he wanted to bring it back in and take another shot at it. Chassis adjustment once more for the 18 driver.
Thanks, Matt. By the way, the scoring computer said on his green flag stop, the first segment of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s pass down pit road, 51.97 miles per hour. No question. Krista, it's been an up and down day for Ryan Newman so far.
Well, yeah, Mike, and a little bit more down, actually. On the first run, he talked about his car being loose. By lap 25, he had called it wicked loose, and 10 laps later, he added a second wicked loose. So they made wholesale changes on that last stop. It was track bar down, wedge in, and now he gets the lucky dog. He'll be back in for more adjustments.
I just think what Darrell said a while ago, this hot racetrack's got a lot of them a lot looser than they were yesterday.
Ready for the restart with 26 cars on the lead lap. Matt Kenseth out of the race, blown engine. Brad Keselowski under repair in the garage area. 41 cars on track. Green flag, and how long can Jimmy Johnson hold off Carl Edwards?
I don't know if we saw something. I was just going to mention you got to protect the right. And Carl Edwards didn't protect the right on that restart, and he got set up big time by Kurt Busch there.
But Kurt Busch in the 2, he got a heck of a run coming to the green flag, and he carried it all the way down into turn 1.
Carl got caught, and he couldn't do it. And there's nothing he could do about it. He's going to lose a bunch of spots here.
So now, just like we started this race, it's Kurt Busch tracking leader Jimmy Johnson off turn 4.
And keep an eye on Dale Jr. back in there too. Remember, he's down a lap, and so there's a heck of a race within a race trying to get that lucky dog position.
I've been watching this battle right here between Kevin Harvick in the 29 and Greg Biffle in the 16.
Smoke spin, turn 2, deep in the pack.
I believe that's Elliott's.
It's Elliott.
That was Jamie McMurray, wasn't it? The 26 car.
I can't believe he didn't spin that car.
Hold your line.
No caution.
Hold your line. Hold your line.
That was unbelievable.
This battle continues to go on between Harvick and Edwards. This is a battle for third.
There's something going on with these cars. I saw it yesterday. I see it again today. They just get loose all by themselves. They just snap loose.
Jamie Mack looked like Vaughn Gittin, the drifting star in his Mustang. That car was sideways for so long, I can't believe it did not spin.
He kept in it, I can tell you that. The tire smoke was flying.
Oh,
I think he got a little bit of help from that right front fender.
Look at that thing just sat there. Look at that.
Darrell, how does he not lose that car?
I don't know. That's a good handling race car is all I can say.
Wow.
That was definitely worth a while right there.
Now it did put him back to last car on the lead lap, 26th.
But what I was going to say about Greg Biffle in the 16 car, they seem to be the big winner through the cycle of green flag pit stops. Steve, they were on the mark, unlike last week when he came to pit road.
Well, one of the reasons, Larry Mack, they made absolutely no adjustments to that 16 car for Greg Biffle. And Larry, furthermore, he says, I'm able to drive it over the bumps a lot better than the other guys.
Of course, he's the winner from the Nationwide Series race yesterday and actually been fighting a little bit of flu. And when we were watching Jamie McMurray over there, he has a stomach flu climbing in that race car today.
And the bumps that Biffle is talking about is down in 1 and 2, and we saw that upset a lot of race cars yesterday in practice and qualifying. So if you can get through there and hold the low line, that's definitely a good handling car.
Two rookies in this race, Scott Speed running 29th, and Joey Logano, who is in the top 15 on today's Home Depot rookie profile. We talked with crew chief Greg Zipadelli about how his focus changes, transitioning from a champion, Tony Stewart, to a rookie, Joey Logano.
We're starting over where our expectations are. You know, after 10 years, you put yourself and you expect to go out and run in the top 5 and try to challenge for wins and lead laps and do all those things. And when you don't, you're not happy, you're not satisfied. You know, right now is our biggest thing is growth, that we continue to grow together, that we continue to improve every time we go on the racetrack. And that's what I kind of keep telling myself is you know, it's time for me to be patient. Joey needs all laps he can. Just kind of keeping them realizing that that's the most important thing, you know. Top 15s, top 10s, the rest of that stuff we'll work up. They'll come as our consistency, as our time working together improves. We need to make sure that we can walk at a good pace, and jog, and then run.
You know what you look at when you're an older guy and you have a young guy that you're working with? The older guy says, hey, dude, I'm running out of time. You got all the time in the world. So I'm going to be patient, but I'm not going to be patient very long.
Yeah, Greg Zippadelli told me on Friday, he said, honestly, Larry, we're just looking for top 25s right now. And they need some top 25s. That team right now is sitting outside the top 35, back in 37th in points.
Well, I don't like what they did to, I don't know if they made very many adjustments on that car on the pit stop, but I see it stepping out a number of times here on this run.
There comes his teammate Kyle Busch in the 18 car. Remember, Kyle was one of the cars that pitted on that last caution at lap 59, 4 tires and fuel. So now Kyle is about to crack the top 15 again.
Roush Racing has 6 wins here. Trouble turn 4.
That's another.
And Dick Bergeron, David Reagan sensed something, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He said he thought he had an ignition problem, Mike, but when he came by us, all that smoke said this is a lot more than ignition. He's lost the motor as well.
Roush car number 2. Same thing happened to Hendrick last week. Might be happening to the Roush guys this week.
So Matt Kenseth, who came in here as the points leader, he's in the garage here with engine problems. David Reagan came in here 8th in the points.
And I made this point last week, Mike. Even though that's a Ford and last week it was a Chevrolet, the vendors that build camshafts, rocker arms, lifters, it's the same vendor. You know, it can be pistons, rod, it can be any part. It's the same vendor that supplies a lot of parts to all these different teams.
Let's ride along with David Reagan.
She just blew up. She just blew up.
You know, Daryl.
Wore down, wore down, wore down.
Daryl, I'm sure you went through this. You could almost sometimes smell when an engine was going to blow up in a race car.
Yeah, you can, Larry. First, the driver drives by all his senses. You know, the feel, the smell, the hearing. You start to hear a little different harmonic in the engine, a little different engine sound. Then you start to feel a little something. Bam, she goes.
Pit road is open. Clint Boyer will get the free pass. Here's Dick.
Mark Martin has the pit area that is closest to turn 4. He's been delighted with the behavior of his car all day. It is just a tick off. They're going to take 2 tires, fuel, and let her go. Steve.
Dick Jimmy Johnson into his pit box. He says that in 3 or 4 the car is awesome. In 1 and 2 I lose a little momentum. In the upper right you see Kurt Busch. He says tail end is loose but the car's getting better. Just 2 tires for the 2 car, Matt.
Carl Edwards' plan was to stop short in his box because the 9 of Kane will be coming around, but he slid in his box. Slight chassis adjustment to this 2 loose up top, but tick tight in the bottom. Krista.
Kevin Harvick called an audible. Todd Berrier, his crew chief, said, let's take 4 tires and wedge. Kevin said, no, leave the tires on, no chassis adjustment. Let's see if it cycles out.
And Kevin Harvick picks up 4 positions in the race off pit road. We're under the 4th caution of the day in Las Vegas.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by the Home Depot, proud sponsor of Joey Logano and the number 20 team. By AT&T, your world delivered. By Aleve, all day strong, all day long. And by Ask.com, where do NASCAR fans get answers? Ask.com, the official search engine of NASCAR.
David Reagan has brought out this caution flag. He is the 2nd Roush Fenway Ford to have engine trouble today. The first was Matt Kenseth trying to win 3 in a row and trying to be the first NASCAR driver to do that at the start of the season. It's not going to happen today. Here's a question from Ask.com, official search engine of NASCAR. What are some of the nicknames for Las Vegas Motor Speedway? Get the answer now at Ask.com. Enter the Ask.com NASCAR Challenge. You could win a trip to Talladega. Ask.com, official search engine.
I'm going to have to go to Ask.com because I don't know if I know the answer to that.
Well, yeah, good idea. How about an AT&T race break? Chris Myers.
All right, we got the answer to that. And, of course, the story of Jimmy Johnson dominating. The other story was Matt Kenseth. And right away, the caution flags flying here as Brad Keselowski at his first race this year, 3rd career race. That's him on the 25 of the green. And just behind him is Carl Edwards, too. But the 5th Hendrick car wrecks. And in the engine problem here as they go into the pits is Matt Kenseth. I thought he could get a quick adjustment caught speeding on pit road, sent to the back of the pack. Didn't really matter because the cylinder or engine problems caused him on lap 7 to be out of the race. Meanwhile, Martin Truex Jr. with the axle shaft left in during the pit stop that was caused. And among those great moves deserving of a wow, Jamie McMurray somehow saving this at high speed. But engine problems for Toyota and Hendrick Chevys before. It's Ford engines with Kenseth and David Reagan having an effect on the race so far. So let's check in with Jeff Hammond.
Well, thanks, Chris. Right now, we're seeing a lot of engine problems, especially with the Fords. And, folks, we talk about sustained RPM. When it comes to this racetrack, that means that the RPM stay up there in a level to where they never get a chance to drop down and kind of let the engine breathe and relax a little bit. And what can happen here, this is a new piston and a new valve. When everything's working right, they come down here, they get very, very close. Not a problem as long as everything works well. But if you ever break a valve spring, this is what's left of a valve spring, broken 3 pieces. This is what it's supposed to look like, whole. Now, the thing is, when it comes down and makes contact, it hits the piston, it can knock a hole in it. That's where the oil can come from. Here's the cylinder head where this has occurred, and you can see how much damage is done inside that cylinder head. It tears the cylinder wall up. That's where a lot of the smoke and the oil comes from. The biggest problem is the engine will not survive the rest of the day. You're done. So right now, let's go down to Dr. Dick Bergman and see if we can find out if he knows anything more about what's going on. Dick?
Well, I'm about to ask the question of David Reagan, what caused the engine to fail?
If I knew, I'd be back in Charlotte working on engines. Just one of those things, you know, everyone at Roush Yates, they do an excellent job on our engine package. And when you're pushing the issue and trying to get all the power out of it, you're going to have things like this happen. Just wished it wouldn't have happened this early in the race. I felt like our UPS Ford was going to have a shot at running in the top 10 today, but we just got to pack it up and go to Atlanta.
And there is a big hole in the block, and you got to wonder, Chris Myers, all these engines that are failing, how much experimentation is going on early in the season with teams trying to get more horsepower, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Something Darrell Waltrip talked about on the pre-race show, Dick. Thanks. And Matt Kenseth currently last. He's only had one other last place finish in his entire career. If you want to vote for the fastest pit crew and the AT&T award from your AT&T phone, text the car number for that crew that you think will be the fastest and best at each race, and the fan vote for first place gets the car and crew 10 points. When Jeff Hammond will make his pick, that crew will receive 5 points. If the pit crew wins the race, it's 5 bonus points. So your vote counts. That's you watching. Vote each week for who deserves the AT&T fastest pit crew of the year award. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Well, it's like a pendulum. As the pendulum swings toward more power, it swings away from the side of reliability.
It does. And one thing that can happen, last week was a 500-mile race. You take that engine home, you tear it down and say, oh, this baby is we're on the conservative side. We can go a little more on that lift on that camshaft. We can put a little bit more here and a little bit more there because it looked good after 500 miles. Coming here, you're only going to run 427 miles. So you have a little bit of insurance, you think, but not always.
So we're under caution for the 4th time today for David Reagan's engine. Beginning April 11th, Fox Saturday Baseball returns. A full season of the games, great matchups. Red Sox, Yankees, Cardinals, Cubs, Phillies, Mets, Dodgers, Giants. Catch all the excitement of Fox Saturday Baseball's Game of the Week. Beginning April 11th, only on Fox. 80 laps, 120 miles complete here in the desert of Las Vegas. Casey Kane made 3 pit stops under that caution. David Ruderman 2 as we're ready to go green with our Claret and Clear to drive restart. Get Claret and Clear, get back to feeling like yourself again. Now Kevin Harvick's the leader, and Jimmy Johnson, Darrell's going to have to come out of the pack, 10th spot.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see how he handles traffic, because sometimes the car out front has just got a big advantage, and he's been out front ever since the green flag up until now.
He took advantage of that restart. He jumped to the high side, which is perfectly legal once the green flag is displayed. He did the same thing as Kurt Busch did on the last restart. You just get a good run through 1 and 2.
Yeah, you watch. The guys will start protecting that right side more and more. In a D-shaped track like this, where it's a big D, you have a tendency to leave that outside open.
Larry, Kevin Harvick got fuel only Shelby on that pit stop. He did not get fresh tires. How long can he hang out front?
Well, I think his car likes where it's at right now. It's out there. It's getting maximum downforce on the front end. Tony Stewart in the 14, who just lost the second spot, he did fuel only as well. Darian Grubb, his crew chief. We had a lot of different strategy up there the first 8 or 9 cars on those pit stops.
Well, I heard an interesting thing that Kyle Busch said about qualifying. They let the 11 car scuff a set of tires for them to qualify on. So that tells me that this tire likes to be buffed in a little bit to get maximum performance out of it.
84 laps complete. Kevin Harvick the leader. Let's crank it up a bit. Biffle, new third place car, Jeff Gordon.
And those 2 cars did right side tires only on that stop right there.
If I'm going to come to pit road, I'm going to get some tires. I don't care, I might only get rights, but I'm going to get some tires.
Matt?
The big game plan for Steve Letarte. Jeff Gordon said his car was unbelievably tight, Mike, behind other cars. So they felt like going with a fuel-only stop, get this 24 machine a little closer to the front, a lot cleaner air to really see what this car can do. Gordon very pleased when he actually does have clean air with the lap times.
Well, he's doing a lot like he did last week at California. Jeff Gordon in the 24. He's hanging around the front just like he did last week.
Krista David Rudeman has spent a lot of time on pit road. What's up with the 00?
Well, down here in the 00 pit, an entire meeting just broke up between TRD. Remember, a lot of engine apprehension for the TRD camp. Well, David Rudeman had complained of an oil leak under the hood. They weren't sure if it was the oil cooler. He said his oil pressure was fine, but the crew ran around, and actually you see some of the TRD gentlemen here in the pit actually discussing what to do next. Right now, they think the oil pressure's okay. They weren't sure if it was a leak or something with the oil cooler, but if we can pan down through here the pit, you see they have an extra radiator standing by just in case.
Now, TRD is Toyota Racing Development out of Costa Mesa, California. They do the engines for Michael Waltrip Racing and Red Bull Racing. Joe Gibbs, they do their own engines in-house for their 3 teams.
Yeah, one of the things that I would ask Rudeman, and the team should know, I'm sure they've looked, when he hit the wall there a little bit ago, did he knock the crush panels in to where he's getting fumes up in the cars? Jeff Gordon makes a big run here on Kevin Harvick for 2nd place. 24 car has come alive, Larry. It likes being up there near the front.
Yeah, he's been good the whole time we've been here. He was just another one of those cars, I think, that just didn't get through the bumps on qualifying Friday. You know, Darrell, you were talking about scuffing tires. Of course, it's a process you go through with a brand new set of tires to knock the newness off. Chad Canals, crew chief for Jimmy Johnson, the 48 car, told me yesterday that scuffs are definitely better, but there just wasn't enough time for teams to scuff a lot of tires.
I've seen that happen, Larry, and here's what happens a lot of times. Early in the week, practice, qualifying, and even early in a race, a driver's all right with scuffed tires, but as the track gets slicker and you need the grip, you want to go back to those sticker tires to get every ounce of grip you can out of them from the get-go.
Jimmy Johnson passes Tony Stewart for 6th place. Brad Keselowski returns to the race 58 laps down. That leaves just David Reagan and Matt Kenseth in the garage area, both with engine failure. Steve?
Mike, Greg Irwin just told Greg Biffle, you just ran the fastest 2 laps of the day, and Greg came back and said, you won't believe how early I'm letting off. In fact, he keyed the mic and he's going into 1. He said, I'm getting off right here. He said, it's amazing how fast this car is. But ironically, he says he's doing it by slowing down.
Yeah, I said this yesterday, and I think it needs to be repeated. This car likes to be back off early, Get out of the gas early. Let that front end grip down in the racetrack and then run it hard off the corner. Come off hard, in easy. I kind of like I think it was Juan Montoya said about Martinsville. You go in like a gentleman, and you come out like an animal.
That's a great analogy. See what kind of speed Biffle carries down the straightaway here.
See the 100% throttle down the back straightaway, and you see him roll out just as he turns the car down in the corner. Really, he's never, ever completely off the throttle. He's keeping the throttle applied just a little bit.
And you know why, Larry? Think about yesterday. Those nationwide engines, they have somewhat of a restrictor plate on them, and they have to be run wide open to keep the momentum up. And you never quite back all the way out of those either. So I think he's applying a little bit of that technique from yesterday to this car, and man, is it working.
Well, Darrell, if you're Carl Edwards, you're the defending champion of this race. You had a car that was good enough. Trouble, turn two.
It looked like maybe Strimmy. I'm not sure. Yeah.
He was running in the 13th position.
I believe he got bumped.
Quiet, we got pit. Got a pit.
And he was very lucky not to get collected when that car came around.
I looked over there. I think he got a tap from
David,
someone.
get caught up here. You got flats? Are they flat?
He comes in from the right side of the frame.
The 99's down underneath of him. Yeah, this is, I think, Carl's going to come up and touch him, I think. Yeah, right there. It gets Strimmy. It kind of runs him up the hill, and then car turns around.
Doesn't take much at the speed you're running here, but that caution will be good news for the Dale Earnhardt Jr. fans because he gets the free pass.
It's a great job by Ryan Newman in the 39 car to squeeze through there, not have any issues.
Almost looks like there's contact twice between these cars.
Out of the smoke. I mean, you just have no idea where that car is. You're just hoping that he's not where you're going.
That's a Days of Thunder moment.
Yeah, well, you kind of go where wherever you see them, just go there.
Boy, they won't be there when you get there, right?
That's right.
The 16 stayed out. Jeff Gordon in the 24 looked like he had thoughts of staying out, but he comes to pit road. Not surprised at those guys, Krista, that did fuel only. They're on pit road.
Absolutely, Larry Mack. Remember, it was Kevin Harvick who made the decision to keep the old tires on. So you see the crew going over the wall now for the 29. They're making the change over on the right side right now. Kevin just a little bit tight. Steve?
Krista, Kurt Busch says this is the best we've been all day. We're just a little loose in turn 3 and 4. We're going to go with 2 tires, Matt.
Fuel only for the 24 of Jeff Gordon. His last time in, he took right side tires, slight chassis adjustment. He says he loves it down in 1 and 2. The car, though, a little free down in turn 3.
It's like a little strategy on that 8 car. Eric Almirola gains 14 spots. Mark Martin stayed out as well with the 16 car.
96 laps complete in the Shelby 427.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by FedEx Racing. We understand every day is race day. By Quaker State. Tough enough for race day, tough enough for every day. Real durable oil. And by Viagra.
"98 laps complete. There is Greg Biffle, the leader, and right behind him, Mark Martin. Under this caution flag, they did not pit. The rest of the cars on the lead lap did. Here's our Ford Drive 1 moment, 1998. Mark Martin driving a Jack Roush Ford goes to victory lane in the inaugural Sprint Cup race here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Want to win a Ford Fusion? You want to win a Ford Fusion. So log on to WeRaceYouWin.com and see how.
Those Fords spanked us that day. I mean, whipped us like dogs. They really did.
Well, 2 of those Fords are in the garage with engine failure. One of them leads, Greg Biffle, while his teammate Jamie McMurray is 9th. And Carl Edwards is back at 24th. Green flag, and we restart with 99 laps complete.
I don't understand these guys on the restart, why they keep leaving that outside open like that. Jimmy Johnson had a look on Kurt Busch, but he jumped back in. Oh, we got contact going down into turn 1 here, guys.
Clint Boyer, the 33 car.
He got into the side of somebody. He was trying to rim ride down in the corner down there, and they made contact.
I believe it was Montoya.
Yeah, you see the left front damage on Montoya's car.
Left side, guys. Left side. Just pull it out with the fence. I'll tell you. Just have hammers ready, but left side.
Montoya will pit. We stay green.
Whoa. Now, Jimmy Johnson, the 48 car, they changed just right side tires, and you see he drives by his teammate Mark Martin in the 5, who actually did fuel only.
Yeah, I'm okay with getting right sides, but man, I don't know about that staying out thing. That worries me.
Here's a look at the restart. Now here comes Boyer coming up. Montoya trying to pass him. There's the contact.
Yeah. Tried to crowd up, just tried to block Montoya, almost looked like.
No caution. Larry, you said at the top of the day to expect a lot of different strategies on these cautions.
Well, I think this is a good tire. We don't have a lot of give up over the course of a long run. I think that's why we're seeing all these different strategies. Plus, also, you want to find out now what might work best for you for late in the race that you might want to pull on pit road.
Second place, Kurt Busch, back to where he started the day against Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon, the 24, got that good run on the high line, trying to take it back from Busch going down the back straightaway.
Dick Bergeron, how about Jamie Mack and the rest of the cars running these Roush Yates engines?
I'm eavesdropping on the 26 of Jamie McMurray and thought we heard him say he had a vibration. So I went to crew chief Donnie Wingo and said, do you have an engine problem? He looked at me and said, I hope not. But then I said, do you have a vibration? He nodded, a little one. That's the cause for big worry, and in this pit area for Jamie McMurray, there's a lot of worried faces. Well, the reason they're worried about a little vibration, they know they have 2 teammates in the garage area with engine failure right now.
Second place battle has been a great one. Kurt Busch did not want to give it up. You also saw his younger brother battling in the right side of the screen, and here comes Jimmy Johnson now for third. It's Busch to Busch battles in their hometown, Las Vegas.
That battle on the right is for 9th right now with Tony Stewart in the 14, Kyle Busch in the 18, and there you see McMurray in the 26 trying to move into the picture.
So, Darrell, if you're Greg Biffle or Carl Edwards, are you still running that forward as hard as you can, or are you going to pedal it a bit and hope to be around at the finish?
If there's an engine problem, you're not going to back off and save it. You know, you're not going to make it. You may make it last a little wee bit longer, but if they got parts problems, whether it's pistons, cams, whatever, you're not going to save it enough to make the race, finish the race.
Matt?
Mike, after Matt Kenseth lost his motor, Drew Blickensderfer walked down to Carl Edwards' pit and told Bob Osborne, Edwards' crew chief, they'd lost a piston. And then when the 6th, their teammate blew up, Edwards was notified by Osborne that they too had lost an engine. That's when Edwards said, any news? Should I be driving a little easier? And Osborne said, all I'm told is for you to take it easier on the higher RPMs going up through the gears.
Apparently they think, you know, we've said about a sustained RPM that could be causing them some issues. So let's see what's going on here now.
I think we've got an issue on this 2 car right now. Steve.
Larry, Mack just heard Kurt Busch say we pushed this engine too hard. It's just we've gone too hard. Pat Tryson saying hang in there, let's try to get a caution, but there's definitely big problems on that 2 car.
Toyota's in practice and qualifying, Ford's and Dodge's in the race. We did not have a single engine-related failure in this race last year. Not one.
And we got to Fontana pretty well. I mean, we had a couple of Hendrick engines, but they know why. But here today, it's been this weekend's been a rash of problems.
And we do need to mention that the Penske cars, they're running the new Dodge engine package. It's not a brand new package. They actually raced it a little bit last year, but they're racing it full time in 2009.
And what I'm hearing Bob Osborne tell Carl Edwards, yeah, maybe you could squeeze out a little sooner down here, and instead of turning at 95, turn it 92, and it might last a little bit longer.
We're at 110 laps next time by. That's 165 miles of 427. And Greg Biffle has a 2.5 second lead on Jeff Gordon. Now Jimmy Johnson about half a second behind his Hendrick teammate. And another Hendrick car, Mark Martin in fourth. Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart, Jeff Burton, Jamie McMurray, and Sam Hornish, the top 10.
Yeah, the only car that's really running in the same lap time as Biffle is Jimmy Johnson in a 48 car. They're matching lap times pretty well, so Jeff Gordon has slowed down quite a bit.
Now Larry Biffle's not been on pit road since lap 75. We're at 110 right now.
Yeah, he can go probably to somewhere between lap 125 and 130, so he's still got a little bit of a cushion, and it's not the fact that he's been out there a lot longer than some of the other cars. This is a car I've been watching right here, Mike, though. Brian Vickers in the 83 car. He's one of the Toyotas that had the engine problem. Qualified 21st about mid-pack, but he had to go to the rear of the field, and he has made his way up to the 13th spot. When you look back last week, he had to do the same thing. He sat on the pole. They had the engine problem. He had to start last and made his way to finish in the top 10.
The three top Toyotas in the race running in formation. 11th, 12th, and 13th. Rudeman 16th. Waltrip 19th.
I've been watching Mark Martin, Larry, and he's driving a typical Mark Martin race. He's riding along in fourth place right now. Hadn't heard a lot out of him, but his car sure looks good. And Dick, he led practice and thought he had a shot at the pole, missed it by a little bit. What's he saying about his car?
Well, all day long, Darrell, Mark Martin has said that the car is very close, and that's exactly what he had in practice. Not quite perfect, but very, very close. He's asked for a track power adjustment to tighten the car up a little bit on the next round of pit stops. A little bit loose right now.
Mike, to go a little deeper on your question, the way I'm seeing it is Mark Martin here in the 5 and Greg Biffle in the 16. We're here at lap 113. They should have to come to pit road somewhere around lap 127. All of the cars that pitted on lap 96 on the last caution, they're going to be able to go about 15 to 18 laps further, somewhere around lap 145 to 148.
So Biffle and Martin on pit road about 15 laps from now. Greg Biffle leads Las Vegas.
I like how this one's looking.
Greg Biffle going for 2. He won here yesterday in the Nationwide Series, and he leads Jeff Gordon by 2.4 seconds. Outside pole sitter Kurt Busch continues to fall back. He has slid to 16th, while his Penske teammate Sam Hornish is in the top 10, as are a couple of the Childress cars, Kevin Harvick and Jeff Burton, 6th and 7th.
I tell you, this is where, though, as we close in on his green flag stops, when you look at the history of yesterday, in the first set of green flag stops, this is where the spotter and the crew chief need to start talking to that driver way out. Watch your speed on pit road. We don't need a penalty under a green flag pit stop like a lot of them did on the last time.
The driver's in such a box in my mind trying to get on pit road, Larry. You got to get off the racetrack with a reasonable amount of speed or you'll get run over on the track.
Kevin Harvick slow in the back straightaway. Krista, what's going on?
Kevin Harvick's crew just snapped to attention because Kevin got on the radio and said, I've got a tire going down. Right before that, he said, I can't get through 3 and 4 at all. No rear grip. He thinks it's a flat right rear.
And he's one of the cars that was on pit road at lap.
We'll be ready whenever. Just ride it as long as you can, but I know there's nothing you can do. If you don't pick up, we got to stop anyway.
And that's what I was about to say. They're not that far from a green flag stop.
5 cars got a problem.
No, this is their green flag stop. Remember, they stayed out the last caution. This should be their...
He was smoking the tires all the way up in the middle of the corner.
Dick?
Well, Mark Martin said that the car came out of gear and blew up too, so it all happened at the same time. And perhaps when the engine did come out of gear, it over-revved, but it's gone. Mark Martin's day is done.
And that's what I saw, caution flags out. I saw him take off up the track with smoke flying. I didn't think it was tire smoke.
Here he comes right here.
Oh, yeah. She jumped out of gear, over-revved, got fire in the wheels there. Looked down in the wheel well.
You can see right there the crew member saying, look, we're done.
Think about Dale Jr. last week at Fontana. Transmission jumping out of gear. Got another one here today.
Martin Truex Jr. will get the free pass on this, the 6th caution flag of the day.
Uncharacteristic of these top teams to have the problems they're having with the Hendrick cars the last couple of weeks.
Well,
Roush cars.
Ask any driver, what would you rather have? More horsepower or better reliability?
More horsepower.
Every time.
I used to tell, give me the power, I'll take care of it.
You know, honestly, that caution, I think, was a big break for Greg Biffle, because they were about to have to make a green flag stop, and then they were going to have to sweat bullets for about 15 to 18 laps just if to the other guys came in to make their green flag stop. I think you'll see Greg Irwin like the looks of that caution flag.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's in Vegas. Looks good. 29 car was getting ready to make a big pit stop here,
really
too.
Easy on that thing leaving the pit box, buddy. Everything we can do. We can make up ground on the racetrack. Just taking care of that thing 40-50.
So the Biff leads them on to pit road, which will be a busy place here at lap 123. Krista?
Man, did Kevin Harvick need this caution. He goes, man, I about wrecked the thing. Just snapped loose on him. He said his car was getting looser and looser. He's not sure how flat the tire got, but he knows he needs 4 tires right now. They're going to tighten up the car also. Steve?
Caution came at a perfect time for Greg Biffle. He'd gotten real loose on those 2 tires. They're going to take a little piece of tape off the grill. He's getting a little bit hot, Matt.
Jeff Gordon is in. 4 tire change for Gordon. The complaint's still the same. Loose on entry, tight through the center. He's been moving his line around a little bit. He's finally away.
The hood is up on Kurt Busch as they try to fix the whatever malady is affecting the Blue Deuce. And Jimmy Johnson picks up 2 spots exiting the pits.
I think pit selection for that 48 car did it. He's got that nice opening right in front of him.
Under the caution in Las Vegas.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Sprint. Get NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile only from Sprint, only on the Now Network.
Under caution at lap 126, Jimmy Johnson leading Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle. Today's race a tribute to Carroll Shelby, and there's really 2 great aspects to his career. As a driver, Carroll Shelby started in MGs, worked up to Ferraris and Aston Martins, with which he won Le Mans in 1959 and raced in Formula One. But a heart ailment took him out of the cockpit, and a year later, that's when the real Shelby legend really began and continues to today. That is a Shelby GT500, the 2010 version, pacing the field. And those cars are built right outside turn number 1 at the Shelby facility here in Las Vegas. Carroll and Bruton Smith have been friends for half a century and do a little business together. And we'll learn a little more about Shelby and his Cobras later in today's telecast. Right now, let's go down to Chris Myers for an AT&T race break.
Thanks, Mike. 8 leaders, 10 different lead changes, and engines part of the issue. Of course, Jimmy Johnson led the first 50 laps. That set a track record. He's led the most so far. Matt Kenseth, forget going for 3 straight. The engine problem on lap 7, he was done. David Reagan on lap 74, another Roush Fenway Ford. Moments ago, Mark Martin for the 2nd straight week, and all of this before the halfway point. We saw Dodge moments ago as we welcome you inside the Hollywood Hotel. You're a big engine guy. What's going on here?
I'm beginning to wonder right now, Chris. I mean, because I think Darrell kind of brought it and touched on it earlier. A lot of these parts and components come from the same manufacturers or same resources. So maybe this is what's happening. We got problem either with rods, possible problems with pistons, and maybe valve springs, but we're definitely sure of one thing. It is definitely an epidemic across the board, because now it's Toyota, Ford, Chevrolet, and the latest casualty we're hearing right now, valve spring on the 2 car of Kurt Busch.
Well, we saw the 2 Fords, so how does Greg Biffle lead 40-plus laps, and he's part of that Roush Fenway program as well?
You hold your breath. That's all you can do. I think Darrell, again, and the guys talked about it. There's nothing you can do about it. You're committed. You might as well just go ahead and run it, run as hard as you can, lead as many laps as possible, and hopefully, you know, you'll get by. Sometimes that's all it takes. Remember, we are in Las Vegas. Maybe you can get lucky.
Well, I mean, the heat and temperature of the track here, the testing issues, the fact the reconfiguring of this track, it just seems like, and Darrell said on the pre-race show, there's still a lot of mystery that drivers have to figure out. Does that run deeper than just the driver?
Well, it could be. You know, again, some of these things, engine combinations, you know, we didn't get an opportunity to do testing. Everybody's trying to move up and try to develop more horsepower. But along the way, you got to give maybe a little bit of horsepower up for the longevity. You've got to finish these races if you expect to win, and especially if you want to score the most points you possibly can.
Yeah, we also had drivers collecting pit road speeding penalties. We have yet to hit the halfway mark. From your AT&T phone, text the car number for the pit crew you think will be the fastest and most valuable in the race. Text it to 2258. The AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award delivered by AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. We're live in Las Vegas. Jimmy Johnson leading, and we're glad you're watching wherever you're watching, enjoying NASCAR on Fox. NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by AMP Energy. AMP up.
129 laps complete. And there is Matt Kenseth-Haller leaving all too early. Kenseth was the first car out of the race with engine failure at 7 laps.
Think about this, Larry, Mike. Everybody was saying before the race started, people that were in the top 12 in points right now, were they going to be able to stay there? Would they really deserve to be there? Well, you got Matt Kenseth, who was first. He's out. You got Kurt Busch. He's third. He's got trouble. You got Reagan, who is 8th. He's out. Montoya, who was 10th. He's 37, 2 laps back. Elliott Sadler in trouble. David Rudiman in trouble. That's your top 12 with over half of them all in trouble here today.
Mark Martin out of the race and with Dick Berggren.
Well, Mark Martin, a big disappointment today with all your experience. Does it get any easier to lose a race like this when you have a car that could win?
Well, it was a great run, and I'm, really feel bad for Alan and all the guys on the 5 car. They're doing such a great job, and we're learning, we're getting better, and it was a great run, and I wanted to give Kellogg's and Pop-Tarts and all our CarQuest teammates something to cheer about today, and it was a very encouraging run, but very disappointing.
We'll see you in Atlanta.
That's a heartbreaker, and there have been several, like Kenseth trying to win 3 in a row. David Reagan's out, Joe Nemechek out of the race, Mark Martin and Brad Keselowski many laps down.
Mark Martin is one of those guys. All these other guys will say, well, if we don't get them this week, we'll get them next week. Mark's running out of next week's.
Now Kyle Busch is up to 8th. That's the best he's been today, but is he happy about it? We listened.
Just so you know, Charlie's scanning all them guys. 99, 48, 16, they're all screaming loose right now. Here's the difference, though. They're faster than I am. Understand that. Just giving you information, man.
Steve Addington's trying to be a salesman. Kyle Busch is not buying right now. Steve Addington, Kyle Busch's crew chief, as we are closing in on the halfway point here shortly.
Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, 2 of Rick Hendrick's cars bring them down to the green flag.
And let's make note how the 48 car was so good on pit road. We did get the report, Chad Canal, 2 right side tires only. This will be interesting because those left sides have 24 laps on them.
Now, Larry, didn't most everybody else change 4 on this last stop?
He's the only one, at least of our top 8 or 10 cars, that did not change 4 tires.
I think that 48 car realized, I think Chad Knaus realized that the guy out front seems to be the cat daddy.
Boy, Kyle Busch just threaded the needle in that 18 car, squeezing between Scott Speed and Kevin Harvick.
That's
I don't know where he found room to get under Harvick.
That's just routine for him.
Matt?
Mike, the other 2 complaints that he's had, the car was just been too free all day on entry. They've worked on that, but recently his complaint for the engine guys as well was the fact that the throttle has been hanging open at times, similar to how it was last year at Richmond.
That's not something you want at a mile-and-a-half racetrack.
No, that's hopefully he's got one of those straps that he can hook his toe in and pull the throttle back if it does hang.
Hey, good run for Jeff Burton in the 31, the cat car there alongside Kyle Busch.
Had a good qualifying run. Qualified 14th, took the green flag in 12th, and he's been hanging right up there in the top 10 to 15.
And here's Matt.
Mike, slow work in progress for Scott Miller and the 31 guys. Early on, Jeff Burton's biggest complaint, the car was just way too tight through the middle, which carried it to the exit of the corner. They worked worked on that. They've been slowly migrating back. His last complaint, the car just swung a little bit now back to the tight side, so they made an air pressure change. Burton, though, having a very solid day.
Had a little close encounter. You know, we're not too far from area 51, and Regan Smith not too far from the wall. Watch his number 78 as he comes off turn 2.
Coming off turn 2, headed down the Nellis straight away.
Sam Hornish right behind him.
It's a little bit.
It's pretty hard lick on right rear and right front a couple of times.
More than a little bit, actually.
Carl Edwards had to dive to the bottom to get away from Sam Hornish, who was avoiding Regan Smith.
You know, we've been talking about Sam Hornish, though, all weekend. 77 car here, qualified in the 10th position. He's racing in the 10th position right now. We just feel like, and we said this the other day, this is a telltale year for Sam Hornish. If he's going to make it in Sprint Cup, he's going to have a good solid year this year.
Yeah, I think Roger's been more than patient with Sam. But it's time for Sam to show what he's learned and take advantage of it, because he's been around here a couple of years now. Time to go.
Carl Edwards alongside, and now moving up on rookie Scott Speed, who started from the pole in yesterday's nationwide race. Contact between Paul Menard and Clint Boyer. 98 and 33, just a little casual contact, and now it's a sandwich.
Yeah.
Vickers inside, Logano outside.
A little wiggle when she walks and a little giggle when she talks, but he kept on going.
And here comes Bobby Labonte asking for a piece of this.
All these cars are still on the lead lap.
Oh, trouble off turn 2. Got a car around.
Reed Sorensen in the 43 car. Caution will fly.
No contact. Gather it up and come on. That's a contact. We're done, guys.
7th yellow flag of the day.
Where'd we hit it?
Hard, right front. I got to go to garage.
Got quite a bit more damage than it looks like. I mean, this car backed up in the fence pretty good.
Just spun out totally on his own on the bottom of Martin Truex Jr. in the 1 car.
Yeah, that's hard contact.
And watch the splitter get it as the car bounces off with the right rear and then comes around. And we'll have a look from Casey Kane,
who does a great job of getting by. I mean, look at this.
Just you're all good. You're all good. That was close. Good work, bud.
That was close.
It was real close.
Robbie Gordon gets the free pass. Lucky car number 7 on caution number 7.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by AT&T, your world delivered. By Taco Bell, think outside the bun. By State Farm, where great coverage meets great rates. And by the all-new 09 F-150. It's not just a new truck, it's a new F-150.
.140 laps complete. The car's in the back straightaway there. You see a lot of those skid marks down to the inside. We've had some tough crashes off turn number 2. None tougher than the one in that infield wall where you see that open area last year. Jeff Hammond has more in today's State Farm Safety Report.
1 year ago at this track, one of the sport's biggest stars took one of the biggest hits of his career. Almost immediately following the race, the track, in a joint effort with NASCAR, installed the safer barrier. So here are the changes. Here's the concrete wall that Jeff Gordon hit a year ago. Now you've got the energy reducing foam along with a safer barrier that allows these guys, when they do make contact with it, to dissipate the energy and the impact. Great effort by NASCAR and the track.
Thanks, Jeff. The safer folks had to do some quick work to reconfigure the barrier for the sharp radius that the wall takes, where that overlap is, so the emergency vehicles can get on the track, but they did, and that change was made here and at other SMI tracks.
You know, Mike, safety is a moving target. I mean, every time we think we've got our arms around it, something unusual, something that no one ever could imagine happens, and it's the reaction of NASCAR and the racetracks that I'm proud of. If something happens and they can fix it, they do.
You know, it only been 7 laps since we had that last caution when everybody made their pit stop. We had 8 cars that came to pit road on the first caution lap. Sam Hornish, the 77 car, gave up a top 10 position. For some reason, came to pit road and changed 4 tires.
Here's our next Ask.com question. Today's race is a tribute to the great Carroll Shelby. When did Carroll get his start in racing? You can go to Ask.com and enter the Ask.com NASCAR Challenge for a chance to win daily prizes and a trip to Talladega.
Now, you talk to him. He's 86 years old, right?
Correct.
So
do the math.
Do the math.
He borrowed a friend's car and won 2 races in the same day, and a great career was born. There's Carroll, who gave the command to start engines today.
Quite a character.
And we'll hear from him a little later on. Green flag, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle, Tony Stewart, and Kyle Busch up to 5th.
Didn't see anybody jump to the high side that time. They were kind of strung out when they came to the restart. We did get a report that Sam Hornish Jr., the 77, thought he had a flat tire. They wasn't sure. We're going to check and make sure to see if he did or didn't.
And Reed Sorensen back in the race after that spin. Dale Jr. got back on the lead lap with a free pass. He's now up to 12th, racing Ryan Newman for 11th.
I'm not surprised because Dale Jr. had the fastest car here in practice yesterday afternoon. We got a battle here for second place between Biffle and Jeff Gordon. It's not over with. That outside, as you can see, a lot of momentum off a turn when you're on that
Spin,
outside.
turn 2, hard, car in the wall, and it's Eric Almirola.
Well, that's hard contact, and he got into, here comes some more, guys.
Yep, Casey Kane couldn't miss that one.
Somehow, I'm not sure Casey Kane, I don't know if he ever hit anything. He might have got a little bit of damage, but not much for what was going on over there.
The garage, I can't see it.
Tom is done, I can tell you that.
He can use his GPS to find his way back to the garage.
Need it, yeah.
We'll have a look under the blue billboard at this replay, and you'll see the 8 car come into view.
It's just up high there, and that thing just hooks. Back end comes around, and he corrects it, and it turns straight left. Straight right, I'm sorry.
I believe you're right. I believe Casey did not hit him.
What's this here with Casey Kane?
Yikes.
Oh, he did. Just caught him.
Just
nipped him.
But he came all the way across the racetrack in front of about 4 or 5 cars.
Yeah, the way he was going, I thought that new safer barrier back there was going to get a test, but he was able to get it wound up.
We're with Casey here.
Check up, check up. Check up.
A busy man.
Well, Darrell, what I saw there was he was looking to go outside Almirola to miss him and saw the hole close up and cut it hard left.
Yep, he spun himself out. He made a little contact, not much.
Scott Speed gets the free pass. We're under caution.
It's Vegas, baby.
146 laps complete in the Shelby 427 when a heart ailment forced Carroll Shelby out of the race car driver's seat. He took a small block Ford V8, put it in a British AC sports car, and he created one of the world's most loved hot rods, the Cobra, and it's still loved today.
I had no idea that it would last this long. I built 1,000 of them. Business went away. I went to Africa for 12 years. Performance went away, and here I am 40-something years later words can't express my appreciation for the fact that I'm not only still here, but still able to build cars at 86 years old, and people are still buying them. That's what I can't understand. And how lucky can you be to have your name on this race here?
It is amazing to all of us. The magic has lasted this long, and people still so lust after these cars. What would you like your legacy to be?
I never think about that because I'm too busy trying to build that next car. I better stop and think about that. I may be getting to the end of the road here pretty soon.
He is still building cars today. There's the 2010 Shelby Mustang GT500.
Pretty good attitude for a guy 86 years old. I don't know. I hadn't thought about that yet.
He's had a heart transplant, a kidney transplant.
Yeah.
And he's just always thinking of the next car.
Yep.
How about that? Jimmy Johnson leads. Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle, Tony Stewart, and Kyle Busch. No change in that front five as we come down for the restart. Completing caution flag at number 8 for Eric Almirola. Green flag.
Car Jeff Gordon gets such a good run on the high side off turn 2 on these restarts.
He likes that race car. He likes it so much he thinks he's just going to drive it right past his teammate and take the lead off turn 4. Look at that thing go.
He gets a good run off turn 4,
got it.
and he will take the lead. Remember, he has 4 fresh tires. His teammate only has 2 fresh right side tires.
You know, one thing I'm noticing, Larry, and I think it's probably going to be a factor, or it already has been, turns 1 and 2 are shaded. That's going to give you quite a bit more grip in 1 and 2. The sun is beaming down hard on 3 and 4. Probably got a little bit more heat in that end of the racetrack, makes it a little bit slicker.
Jeff Gordon leads for the first time today. Jimmy Johnson has led 92 laps, more than twice as many as Greg Biffle, who's led 40.
You know, Darrell, you were talking earlier of all the guys in our top 12 that's had problems, but I'm going to tell you one guy that has not had a problem. He's been solid as a rock, qualified in the 8th position. He's sitting back there running 4th right now. Tony Stewart in that 14 car, he keeps going here with a little past halfway. He's going to come out of here in great shape in points.
I agree, Larry. He's taking that team and just trying to really build it into something special, and it's really paying off for him.
Matt, another strong day for Tony Stewart.
Mike, you heard the old saying, the tone really starts with the leader. And last Sunday night after the race at Fontana, Stewart sounded more like Bobby Bowden than Bobby Knight, giving a great motivational talk to his crew members on the cool down lap, telling them 2 races, 2 top 10 finishes. What a way to start the year and more to come. And that's definitely what he's showing today. The last stop, they backed up on the change they made on the previous stop because they'd gone too far. They made the car too tight, trying to free it up a little bit more. Stewart, very solid so far, running in the 4th position.
And Mike, Larry, I think there's some drivers, some athletes, that they like to have a little skin in the game. It's kind of like playing golf with your buddies. You're not playing for anything. You don't play so hot. Throw a little money on the line and the game changes. I think that's Tony Stewart. He likes his position. He likes what he's doing, and he's really enthusiastic about it.
There's his teammate Ryan Newman, and Krista Newman in 12th place right now.
Yeah, Mike, slowly, steadily coming up. You know, it's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum for these 2 Haas teammates. Tony Stewart's had a lot of luck, some good runs. Ryan Newman, not so much. He joked, he and his crew chief Tony Gibson, they were not gambling at all in Vegas because they did not want to use up any good luck they might have. Right now, things are going well. The only problem, his race car's been a little loose all day. In Vegas, loose slot machine's good. Loose race car, not so much.
Remember, at one time, Ryan was a lap down and got the free pass to get back on the lead lap.
Well, you know, another guy that was a lap down has really fought his way back is this guy right here. Dale Jr., he's in 11th place, and he looks to me like he's amped up. Looks to me like he's had a couple of amps and he's ready to move forward.
But I think you mentioned it, Darrell. He had one of the fastest race cars yesterday in those practice sessions, just had that speeding penalty, but he only got that lap back about 50-something laps ago, so he's moved right through the field. You cannot have any amp, though. We can give it to Dale Jr., but not Darrell Waltrip.
How about Code Red?
Carl Edwards just moved out of frame there as you have a look at Kevin Harvick, and Carl working his way back up to 8th, Denny Hamlin 9th, and here's Harvick 10th as we watch from Hamlin's car.
And then, you know, the other thing back to the Roush engine problems that drives engine builders, car owners too crazy is everybody's got the same piece. 2 of them blow up, 2 of them run all day. Go figure.
That's pretty much what happened with the Hendrick cars at Auto Club Speedway last week.
This guy's overcome a lot too, Dick.
Yeah, Jamie McMurray really didn't have a very good time with the car that they unloaded, Darrell. Qualified 38th, way in the back of the pack, but they have worked on this car all day long. Right now, McMurray is running in the 6th position. The big worry that they have had, however, is that quite a while ago in this race, McMurray reported a vibration. He has said nothing more about that vibration since then, but on every single restart, crew chief Donnie Wingo cautions him, do not let the RPMs go high. They are worried about the engine. Steve Burns.
Well, Dick, Greg Biffle not reporting any vibrations, but he too concerned about the power plant in that 16 car. He said to crew chief Greg Irwin, the car's real good. I'm holding back, waiting for things to settle out. And Irwin said, I know it's hard to hold back with that good of a race car, but you're doing the right thing.
I would say so. We still have 127 laps to go. We're going to have 2 more pit stops. This thing may get into a green flag run again, so not a bad plan.
It sounds like they're thinking that these engine problems are occurring as the guys go up through the gears, like on the starts and restarts and even leaving the pit box. Maybe they're over revving these things, damaging them going up through the gears. It sure sounds that way.
How about Jeff Gordon? He has now led 20,000 laps in his 17-year Sprint Cup career, and that's 7th on the all-time list.
Well, and there he is leading the race. And the other thing that's most impressive to me, he has won $100 million.
Yes,
that's impressive.
That would be a cha-ching when you're here in Vegas.
But Mike, you just said it. 17th season. I don't think we think that we don't realize Jeff Gordon has been here that long.
That kid?
That kid. Or they used to call him Wonder Boy.
That's right. Dale Earnhardt tabbed Jeff Gordon as Wonder Boy, and it was a play on the Batman and Robin thing of Boy Wonder. But when Earnhardt said it, it didn't come out Boy Wonder. It came out Wonder Boy, and it stuck for quite a while.
It didn't come out that way because that wasn't the way he meant it.
Well, and Jeff more than lived up to the name.
Yes, he has.
But Matt Yoakum told the story earlier, and I think that just goes to show you how tenacious that race teams are. You've got 2 back-to-back races on the West Coast. You've got 1 car picked to run Auto Club Speedway. You have this car prepared to run Las Vegas. After they ran so well at Auto Club Speedway, Jeff, Steve Letarte, and even Rick Hendrick said, if y'all want to run that car at Las Vegas, we'll make it happen. The truck driver and Jimmy Johnson's spotter, Earl Barbin, came to Las Vegas, put this car in Brendan Gaughan's truck shop here at the Speedway. The crew flew home to get parts to service this car, flew back out here, and worked in Brendan's shop on Wednesday and Thursday, loaded her back up Thursday night.
You get an attaboy for that, but every time I hear that, I always remember what one of my famous car owners told me. Boy, that car ain't got a clue where it is.
Or where it's been.
That's right.
And it's funny, the COT platform, the car of tomorrow, was supposed to end all that, building special cars for special racetracks or drivers favoring one car over another. But Darrell, you ride a good horse and you keep riding it.
Well, that's right, and that's what I told Larry when he was talking about, we got a car around up here in the turn 4 area.
Michael
I think
Waltrip.
it's a 55 car. He had been riding so high. That does not surprise me. He was rim riding, I'm telling you.
Come on in here. Let's get forward right here. 5, 4, 3, 2. Right here, Michael. Easy. Right here.
Wow, that got Booty Barker up on the chip.
Boy, it did. But Michael has been making dust fly the last several laps, and I think he just gets it up there a little wee bit too high that time. See him up high
above the black.
Yeah, and he just got it in there a little too hot and a little too high, and around she goes. I don't think he hurt it much.
So Waltrip scrapes the wall, knocks the end plate off the wing.
I thought. And you know what else, Mike? That's another car in the top 12.
In the point standings.
In the point standings right now.
7th coming in to this race.
Run inside.
Now, Elliott Sadler had to take a little more evasive action, and
his splitter's just like a snow plow, though. Look at the grass packed up in there.
If those are in fact saw teeth, he just needed it. He just sawed up the he just sawed up the infield.
Digger's not going to like this. Yikes. Robbie Gordon. All right, David Gilliland. He is the recipient of the free pass for caution number 9. So his number 71 will come around and be back on the lead lap. Dick Berggren.
Well, Jimmy McMurray is going to take 4 tires. Reason being, he ran over some of the debris from that accident. They don't want to have him go out with a tire that may be going down. Chassis so good, they're just changing tires. No chassis adjustment. Steve.
Dick, Greg Bifflin, the 16 car, says this thing is perfect. Do not touch it. It's starting to free up. There you see the 16, Matt.
Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart, 1st and 4th, both complained about the same exact characteristic with their car. It was tight when they were going back in the gas. Adjustments for both Gordon and Stewart.
I believe we had a little more rolling of the dice. Very fitting. Looked like several teams like Todd Parrott, Bobby Labonte, the Ask.com 96 car, 2 tires, I'd say, as well as Brian Vickers and Martin Truex Jr.
Boy, Truex has done a nice job after losing that axle shaft of getting back on the lead lap, and now back up into the top 5.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Verizon Wireless. Get the inside track from Penske Racing and race analysis. Plus highlights and high-speed action all on VCast from Verizon Wireless, America's largest, most reliable wireless network.
Getting ready to go back to green with a new top 4. Jeff Burton, Bobby Labonte, Brian Vickers, and Martin Truex Jr. due to pit strategy. They are lined up behind the safety car, ready to go green. Hey, this could be the year. The Cubs are 4-0 in Cactus League play. What'll happen beginning April 11th when Fox Saturday Baseball returns to bring you a full season of the game's greatest matchups. Catch all the excitement. Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week beginning April 11th only on Fox.
You know, we mentioned Jeff Burton a while ago, what a good day he's having, and those guys got to be happy with that when you look at the fact they finished 28th at Daytona. Total disaster last week at Fontana, finished 32nd, came in here 30th in the points. They got to feel good about this run.
Another guy I've been watching is Bobby Labonte here in the Ask.com car. He's been hanging in there pretty well in the top 10 too.
And who's his majority car owner? Tom Garfinkel, the head of the Arizona Diamondbacks, and Jeff Morad, who's now with the Padres organization, now was in the truck having a look. And here we go, green, as Jeff Burton brings them down.
Just want to confirm, Scott Miller, Jeff Burton, the 31 car, went with 2 right side tires only, as well as Bobby Labonte, Brian Vickers, and Martin Truex Jr. the top 4.
How about a crank it up?
Sounds good to me.
Jeff Burton holding off Bobby Labonte and Brian Vickers. Chevy Ford Toyota battle here for the front 3 spots. We've got Gophers and we've got Squirrels. Kyle Busch coming off turn number 2.
Oh, got a car up against the wall. Turn 4, guys. It's the 11 car.
Denny Hamlin.
Now he goes around.
Get up there.
Another car that just got up too high.
Now I'll go around. He's on pit road.
He got up too high, got that loose stuff down there, and around it went. Looked exactly like the 55 car of Michael Waltrip a bit ago. Starts up the hill, gets a little loose. Actually, he gets loose before he gets there. But when he gets in the loose stuff, it's out of his hands then. The reason it snapped around like that is because it picks up all that debris on the tires, and then the car, you don't have any control over it. It just spins on around like that. You can see he got in a little hot, got loose getting in. All that dust and dirt.
Well, let's ride with Denny Hamlin through this one.
Pretty good lick on the right side of that car.
Just keep it up there.
And let's get Dale Jr.'s view. Slip sliding away.
Let's get up above that black. There is no grip whatsoever. Now that caution was a big break for John Andretti, who got the free pass, as well as Marcos Ambrose that got one of his laps back.
And watch Kyle Busch over here, brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue 14. Got up under Kyle, got him really arrow loose, and I thought he was going to spin around, but he didn't.
Nice save. Watch the grandstand, which is pretty well packed here today. Coming to their feet is Denny Hamlin.
Looks like the wave.
On the wave, exactly.
Digger's waving goodbye.
Chris Powell, general manager of the track, says they had a near sellout crowd here for today's race. And like many tracks, they got aggressive with their ticket pricing, put a number of seats on sale just this morning, and did very well.
Yeah, he said a lot of those seats over there in turns 3 and 4, they were sold, but the sun is shining on the down. It's pretty hot over there this afternoon. A lot of people had moved out of their seats over in the shade.
Wonder how many of them moved to the Hollywood Hotel.
It's pretty crowded down there already.
we lost our Elvis costumes, but we're keeping an eye with this 10th caution here. The record for cautions at this track set last year. We had 11. We still have a ways to go. Just a quick recap. Matt Kenseth, the story, forget history. On lap 7, engine problem. 9 previous races at Vegas. He finished every lap but one. He's already on his way to Atlanta. 4 cars out with engine problems. Jimmy Johnson, lap 126, recaptures the lead off pit road. He had led the first 50 laps to start the race. And here, Jeff Gordon, his teammate, takes it away on lap 149 for the lead. 20,000 career laps and counting for Jeff Gordon. And right now, a guy named Jeff Burton is leading the way. Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers enjoying the race at the Hollywood Hotel and Casino. Some observations here as we know. Well, I have to talk about Matt Kenseth. I know the engine problems hit a lot of people. He told our Chris Devoto early on, hey, I doubt I could win this 3rd straight to set the record and make history. I don't think he thought he'd be gone. In fact, he's only finished last one other time in his entire career in a race.
No, Chris, I think you're right about that. I think the fact was that these guys came in here just they were going to have a good race. They weren't going to put any pressure on each other as far as trying to get this 3rd race. I think leading to points and getting the year started off was what they're really focused in on. And the fact that they wound up didn't win the race, no big deal.
All right.
But blowing up really like it is a big deal.
Jimmy Johnson, 3 out of the last 4 races here, has led a lot of laps. Still a guy watching here as we get ready to
I think you got to start looking at this guy because he's been, like I say, the king of the hill, 3 championships and 3 wins here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. You've got to start looking and thinking that maybe the battle's going to come down now between these 2 teammates as far as Hendrick's concerned.
Let's get back to Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Well, a lot of different strategies as we've talked since the beginning of the day. And Larry, now we got 4 new players up front because of this 2-tire situation. And the fellows who've dominated the race, they're back in the pack a bit.
Well, there's no question. The safest place is out front. And with 120 laps to go, which basically is 2 more pit stops, I think we're going to continue to see this strategy play out all the way through the end of the race. And I can't help but remember a lot what played a role in the outcome of the race last week. What went on pit road? Who had the best pit stop and who didn't make a mistake?
And Darrell, are you still driving it like you stole it, or are you a little worried about that engine and longevity? We had engine failures early, but not lately.
It's not my job to worry about the engine.
Okay.
It's my job to take advantage of 850 horsepower every time I can, and that's what I'm going to do.
All right, let's just do just that as we're getting ready for our Claret and Clear to drive. Restart, lift, Claret and Clear, indoors and out. Jeff Burton, Bobby Labonte, Brian Vickers, then Greg Biffle, who did get tires, then Martin Truex Jr., Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart. Green flag. Here comes Johnson.
Kind of a jukey restart there. I didn't like the way Burton brought them down. He backed them all up and got them bottlenecked up. Bobby Labonte really didn't get a good start. That opened up the outside there a little bit for some of these other cars.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson took a spot away from Jeff Gordon as they came to the flag.
Yeah, they were all bottled up there on that restart. Kind of a ragged.
Jeff Burton has 2 wins and 7 top 10s in 11 races here. He's the only driver to do the weekend sweep and win Saturday and Sunday. Finished 5th here last year, and he's out in front.
You've got Montoya up there trying to get a lap back. One of his 2 laps in that 42 car. Remember, he had the problem with Clint Boyer, had to come to pit road for sheet metal damage and a tire rub.
I just haven't seen cars in quite some time that all of a sudden just snap around or take off. Like it's a real, the track and the cars are real line sensitive.
Denny Hamlin almost spun out, Sam Hornish almost spun out off turn 2 that time, Darrell. He gathered it back in.
Same thing, Mike. He went in the corner and all of a sudden the car just almost broke loose and snapped around with him.
Boy, turn 2 has been calamity corner today.
I think it's because of those bumps down in the bottom. If you run the bottom, you hit the bumps, car kind of gets upset, and if you try to go around them, doesn't seem to be enough grip up high down there.
What about the transition from shade to sunlight coming off that corner 2? Is that a factor?
I think it is. I mean, you know, right now that whole turn is just about in the shade, so yeah, that's going to have some effect.
Because you'll have grip, then when you get on exit of turn 2, you get where the racetrack has sunlight on it, you lose that grip. But I just can't help but think about Bobby Labonte in that 96 car, the Ask.com Ford up there running second. You know, honestly, I think when the season ended last year, he had no idea where he was going to be or what he was going to be driving in 2009.
Well, he was under long-term contract to Petty Enterprises, and then that team failed to find sponsorship and ended up contracting and merging into what was Gillette Evernham, and they released Bobby from his obligation, and he found a home here. Jeff?
Mike, one thing, we've been talking about tires all day long. You know, what feels good, what doesn't feel good. 2 tires, some guys elected to stay out. And I'm beginning to wonder if maybe the reason why the guys are not wanting to change these tires is on low air pressure, the cars don't hook up. We see a lot of guys getting in trouble on restarts. And it seems like when the air pressure's down low on these tires, they are definitely a handful. So maybe that's one of the reasons why we're seeing some of these guys stay out today. Their cars are so comfortable, they just feel like, hey, I got a secure set of tires. I'm going to stay up front, and I'm not going to take a chance of having a set of tires too low on air pressure and get away from it.
Hey, there's a good chance of that, Jeff, and it could be too that nobody has scuffs. That you know, we heard guys talking about they like the scuff tires here. Maybe they don't have enough scuffs and they're having to put stickers on with low air, and that's where they're having trouble.
Well, that strategy not paying off well for Martin Truex. He restarted 4th, and he's now dropped back, just hanging on to a spot in the top 10.
Well, all I know is something is ramping up, because our 2 guys up there running 1-2, Jeff Burton, Bobby Labonte, they just ran the fastest lap that they've run in this race here with 104 laps to go. And I think Bobby is just slowly but surely closing in on that 31 car.
It just seems like, and it has been this way for quite a while now, if you can get out front, you can just put a lot of distance between the rest of the field.
3 wide down the front straightaway. Carl Edwards in that 99 car all the way down on the apron. As he races Tony Stewart in the 14. This is a battle for 8th.
I'm still pretty impressed with Truex riding around here early in the day with an axle hanging out of the car, and here he is running in 10th place. Pretty good recovery for that group.
He caught a caution just
right, yeah.
Edwards completes the pass of Stewart for 8th place and sets off after Kyle Busch. Up front, Jeff Burton, Bobby Labonte, and Brian Vickers. Those 3 drivers have about a second and a half. Or excuse me, Jimmy Johnson, Burton, Labonte, Johnson. Those drivers have a second and a half on the rest of the field. Here is Vickers in 6th place.
See, he started 43rd.
Yeah, Mike, he's in 6th, but that team is very concerned. They have lost voltage. They're not sure how much electrical power they're going to have for the end of this race. It's been a concern for a while now in that 83.
And how they got the track position. Ryan Pemberton, one of those crew chiefs on that last stop, that elected to go with just 2 right side tires to try to get him up there.
Krista, the 1 keeps dropping back. What's the problem with Truex?
Yeah, and just when we mentioned that he'd climbed back up into the top 10, they're thinking maybe a loose wheel. Martin talked about a vibration. Right now, he's talking right now. He's not sure if it's a vibration from a loose wheel or a brake issue, but there's a lot of talk right now in the one camp.
Just remember, it could be some damage from that axle coming out earlier, causing him to have some kind of problem with that left rear back there.
I would say that could be a strong possibility.
Maybe a drive plate or something that's about ready to shear.
Second place. Jimmy Johnson working his way back toward the front. Got a few positions behind because they took on 4 tires on their last stop. Now he moves to second place.
I'd say Jimmy Johnson is singing that old song, "You Haven't Heard the Last of Me."
Here's a Vegas related question from the folks at Ask.com. Which NASCAR drivers appeared in the Elvis film Speedway? Elvis, Nancy Sinatra, Bill Bixby in that movie. And one of the cars in that movie was a Shelby Cobra. And it's on display over here at the Shelby Museum. If that's not the answer, you'll have to go to Ask.com to find out. And to enter the Ask.com NASCAR Challenge to win daily prizes or a trip to Talladega.
Me and Hammond tried out for it, but we didn't make it. All we ended up with was 2 wigs.
Jeff Burton used pit stop strategy to get to the front of the field. How long can he hold on to the lead? Welcome back to Las Vegas. The Shelby 427 is today's race, and Max Pappas, the road racer, native of Como, Italy, has just gone to the garage area and out of the race, joining Eric Almirola, Mark Martin, Joe Nemechek, David Reagan, and Matt Kenseth.
Not surprised to see this one car on pit road, Darrell. He had pretty much reported.
4 tires on her for now. Let me make a lap. I think it's the wheels falling off. 10-4, 4150, look left.
I got to believe it's.
Left sides are tight. Left side wheels are tight if you want to just try right.
Bad vibration for Truex. Remember, he had that axle shaft coming out of the car earlier. Krista?
And they're not sure what it is right now. Martin said that he has no brakes. Kevin Bono Mannion, his crew chief, said he was trying to smell gear oil, but they think that maybe a wheel bearing out of the right front. Martin said, hey, if you're smelling gear oil, why would my brakes be failing? Right now, he said he cannot hold on to it. Feels like the wheel is going to fall off.
And
they're going to come back in.
To Chris, it took them a long time on the right rear, like they maybe were looking for a leak or a problem on the right rear.
Truex came in here 17th in points. He's now 2 laps down.
Just watching the 48 car and the 31 car of Jeff Burton, who's leading this race. Jimmy right now in the 48 is about a tenth and a half a lap better than the 31 car.
Yeah, he's closing in on him. They got to be pretty happy with that 48 car coming in here today, and kind of a little bit of concern about the setup that they had. 1 car back on pit road, by the way, but the 48's been very consistent, run good all day long, and I think he's the guy that they're going to have to worry about.
But he's only begun to run Burton down in about the last 5 laps. Jeff Burton was holding about a 9/10 of a second advantage, and now really bringing that advantage down. Jimmy Johnson coming back to the front, but what a nice turnaround for Jeff Burton, whose first 2 races ended up with 28th and 32nd place finishes. Steve?
Hey, Mike, just wanted to add on Jimmy Johnson. Chad Canal said this morning that that was going to be part of their strategy. They were going to have to compromise and give up the beginning of the run to be good much later in the run.
Lesson learned from last week, I would say.
And that car's really come on. 9th place, Dale Jr. around the outside of Tony Stewart, as Juan Pablo Montoya comes to the pit along with Brad Keselowski.
Not surprised to see Tony Stewart running right around the bottom of the racetrack. About everywhere we go, that's where you'll see him, just like right here down in 1 and 2. Not surprised to see Dale Earnhardt Jr., who we're riding with, pretty much up the racetrack. That's where he'll normally run.
Keep digging, man. Nobody coming. Nice lap here. Good job.
Very different lines, different approaches to this racetrack. Carl Edwards, last year's winner here, coming back into the picture. He is now up to 6th place, Matt, about 4.3 seconds off the lead.
Would probably appreciate a caution about this time, Mike, not to try to fix his race car, but to try to close up that 5-second gap between himself and leader Jeff Burton. The last 10 laps or so, he's been 2 to 3 tenths faster than anyone else in front of him in scoring. Edwards said the car was a little too free at the beginning of this run, but now it's come in nicely. Krista?
The 39 is in. The last thing that Ryan Newman had said, he thought he had a vibration. He said it was shaking very bad in the corners. You see the crew around on the right side coming over to the left side, but again, more shaking going out on the racetrack.
Sounds like an Elvis song. Shake, rattle, and roll, baby.
Whole Jerry Lee Lewis.
Oh, that's
the
right.
killer.
You're right.
Whole lot of shaking going.
Whole lot of shaking.
Well, not the kind you want to hear from your race car.
That pit stop comes probably about 15 laps before all of our leaders will be on pit road should we stay green. So right now, by my calculation, should we stay green, we should be on pit road somewhere between lap 215 and 220. And then somewhere probably about 15 laps to go, we'd have to make a final pit stop.
Which we wouldn't have last year because this race was only 400 miles.
It would have been over.
But it's 18 laps longer this year. And Tony Stewart's headed for pit road.
Better get her slowed down, buddy.
So Stewart pits out of 10th place.
Right sides, just right side.
And it'll be the first of the leaders to hit pit road in this sequence.
Got a battle for the lead up here side by side. Looks like Jeff Burton in the 31 gets pinned behind Scott Speed in that 82 car.
Oh.
Now Johnson gets pinned behind him.
So Burton holds the lead. We go to Matt and Stewart's pit.
Stewart keyed the mic, came in a little earlier than they had expected. He said, guys, we have to come now. We've got a loose wheel. They called for right sides only.
Now within 2 laps, teammates both had a vibration with what they thought was a loose wheel. Newman and then Stewart.
And don't forget Truex, who had that big vibration problem, but now that's cured. He's back out on the racetrack.
Definitely makes you go,
Jeff Burton now back up to 0.7 of a second ahead of Jimmy Johnson, Bobby Labonte, Greg Biffle, Jeff Gordon. When will the leaders pit?
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is delivered by UPS, official delivery company of NASCAR and proud sponsors of David Reagan and the number 6 Ford Fusion.
211 laps complete. We expect the rest of the leaders. Tony Stewart's been in. We expect the rest of the leaders on pit road within the next 5 or 6 laps, unless they try to stretch it out and make this a 1 pit stop race. Larry, you and Jeff, how about hashing this out? Do you need to make 2 stops, or can you make it on 1?
Well, Jeff, if this thing keeps its green flag look, obviously you want to make 1 less stop than your competitors. You and I were talking during break. All of the leaders, most of the leaders were on pit road at lap 165. We did have that 1 caution between 171 and 175 that buys you a little bit of time, but you're going to have to go to about lap 229 if you want to make it a 1-stop race.
You're right, Larry, and I think that's where the gamble is going to kind of come into play right now. Is you got to figure out, what's been going as far as your tires. The tires have been doing really well today. So now all of a sudden, can you throttle back a little bit and stretch it to the point where you can go to maybe about lap 225 or something like that, and then stretch that final run to the 285 mark? Because now, bear in mind, green, white checker, you're done. But the key thing right now is if you can, you could put yourself in a pretty good position to maybe steal the race, because the rest of these guys would have to make an extra stop.
That's the way I'd start thinking right now. How can I do something different than everybody else is going to do?
Get on a totally different agenda right now. Right. You're right.
Give me an advantage.
Yep.
Jeff Burton continues to lead, 0.7 of a second up on Jimmy Johnson, and Max Pappas has returned to the race after spending some time in the garage.
So is the 2 car, by the way. They whatever was wrong with it, they repaired it, and he's back out on the racetrack.
Let's check with Matt.
Tony Stewart in conversations back and forth between Darian Grubb at this moment, talking about bringing the car back to pit road, says the vibration has actually gotten worse. He was wondering when the cycle begins, whether they could try to hold out till then. At this point, Darian Grubb told the driver, it's up to you. You come when you feel like you need to. Steve.
Matt, a lot of concern down here in the Greg Biffle pits. They have already switched ignition boxes, and remember, wasn't that long ago, Greg Biffle said he was being cautious with this engine. He's said or described the motor as surging.
Steve, he's lost a lot of positions here just recently, and he's quite a bit off from what those leaders are running right now.
And surging, it probably means it's broken a valve spring, because that's kind of the feel you first get. The engine doesn't run exactly up to snuff, and it'll start doing a little surge because it's losing power.
And I think just to update our viewers, his teammate Matt Kenseth, who came in here trying to win 3 races in a row, the first 3 races of 2009, out with engine failure before lap 10, and then David Reagan, another Roush car, out just a few laps after that with engine failure. So 2 Roush Fenway cars already out with earlier engine failure.
So we have 68 laps to go, 25 cars on the lead lap, at least 1 and perhaps 2 pit stops in the offing. And Jeff Burton, tell you, when Burton took those 2 tires, I don't think a lot of folks expected him to be able to hold the lead and hold off everyone who got 4 tires, but Jeff Burton's done a great job leading this race.
And that's the sign of a good handling race car.
Great car, and you see look at his hands down in there. I mean, he's got a nice tug to the left. That's the way Burton drives. He likes to really crank that thing hard left. That's kind of old school, both hands pulling down to the left. But it's also, let me tell you the other thing I think they did really well here. The guys that they used to do the tire test here, 4 of the best, and they've gotten the best tires I think they could have possibly had for here.
15th place David Stremme comes onto pit road. He and Tony Stewart, the only lead lap cars to pit so far under green this time, Kristen.
David Stremme having another great race. 4 tires and fuel. The call for the Penske Championship Racing machine. 1.5 rounds out of the left rear.
Here comes Kevin Harvick onto pit road. And this should start the round of green flag pit stops in earnest. Back to Krista.
Right now, Kevin Harvick saying that his car is terrible in traffic. He needs it to turn better. How are they going to do it? Todd Berrier and Kevin Harvick deciding it's a track bar adjustment. That's the call for Kevin Harvick.
Sam Hornish is in. Tony Stewart is in.
Jeff Gordon missed pit road. Jeff Gordon in the 24 car was coming to pit road and missed it.
Jimmy Johnson's in. Greg Biffle's in.
Tough pit road to get on, man. I'm just telling you, one of the hardest.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. is also in. Steve.
Mike, just heard Jimmy Johnson say, I can't get back to the gas like I want to. It's gotten a little bit tight late in the run, and caution is out.
Jeff Gordon cannot get back up to speed.
He blew a tire.
He's the reason for the caution. Yes,
I think he slid the tire.
Yeah. He locked it up, Mike, and slid that left front tire and blew it out.
We got to come this time. Come early this time.
And then the 48 slid through his pit box.
Let's show you what happens here to Gordon.
Watch, he locks it down. Can't get it wound up.
You could see the smoke coming off of it right there.
I think he was watching the 48 car, and I think that was a big distraction to him. Now watch what the 48 does. He comes around the 77. Hello.
Yikes.
And this is all happening under green. The caution had not yet come out.
Now, did Jeff Gordon, of course, when that tire's locked up, it's no longer capable of turning the car.
Yeah.
When it's locked. I wonder if that's when the tire went flat or if it happened down in turn 1.
Well, he flat spotted it, Mike, coming down here to try to get on pit road. And then when he went on back around, it blew it out.
We got our leaders in 3 and 4, Jeff Burton in particular. He was down on the apron because we were right up against those green flag stops.
Go.
These cars are about out of fuel.
Well, here comes Burton onto pit road with Bobby Labonte.
What a break for these guys, though, to get that caution before they made their green flag stops.
Carl Edwards right behind them. The first 3 coming in nose to tail. Kevin Harvick and Tony Stewart too fast entering the pits. There's Jamie McMurray and Clint Boyer's stop. Dick.
Well, Jamie McMurray's crew is going to give him a minor chassis adjustment. McMurray has been very silent on the radio, has not said much about the behavior of his car. He had been running in 10th. Steve.
Dick, the 96 car in the upper right box. Chassis adjustments, 4 tires, half round out of the right rear, half round in the left rear, Matt.
And no changes for the 31 of Jeff Burton. Meanwhile, the 99 of Carl Edwards, they went back about 1/4 pound in the right rear. He says the car very strong through the meat of the run.
Now, Jeff Burton is the first car off pit road. I'm not sure if he got lefts or if he got a full set of 4 tires. We will check.
Oh, what they're doing, the 29.
A lot of work on Kevin Harvick's car. Caution for the 11th time today in Las Vegas.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Claritin Allergy Products. Live Claritin Clear. By Napa Auto Parts. Napa, get the good stuff. By McDonald's. And by Lowe's. For all your home improvement needs, Lowe's, let's build something together.
A lot has happened here in the last few minutes under this caution, and yes, Jeff Burton did get 4 tires. He is still the leader. Look at Jimmy Johnson coming onto pit road in the upper left, and Johnson coming into his pit and overshooting. This is under green. Jeff Gordon trying to get into the pits with Johnson, locking up the left rear, missing the commit cone, having to go around and blowing out the tire. That brings the caution out, so Jeff Burton can pit under yellow, and Jimmy Johnson, having to back up, put those 2 tires on, lost a lap in the process.
As I look at Jeff Gordon, he was trying to follow the 48 onto pit road, but also if you look behind him, he had cars right on his back bumper. He had to get down off the racetrack a little faster than he probably wanted to.
Don't let that 48 come without us. Jeff, if you see that 48 pitting, we need to be on pit road with him. Pit, this lap, this lap.
And that's when Gordon locked up the tire trying to get onto pit road. Also, Carl Edwards was missing a lug nut when he left pit road and had to come back into the pits to install it, so he'll be at the tail end of the lead lap when we restart.
Yeah, we had all types of penalties going on that sequence of green flag stops, and there you see the repair work on Jeff Gordon's number 24 car. Steve Letarte,
One out
crew
of the
chief.
left to put a half in the right rear.
You know, yesterday, Larry, there were unbelievable amount of pit road penalties yesterday, and Jeff and I were looking at a list this morning. Jeff, how many penalties were there yesterday?
Daryl, what I had counted here, there were 32 situations that were related to pit road, from exceeding, entering, pit road speed, entering and exiting, committing fine violations, pitting before pit road was open, too many crew members over pit road. I mean, it's just a multitude of issues that seem like for some reason are just jumping up this year, and I think it's all because everybody's feeling the pressure of the competition, both in the Nationwide Series and especially here in the Sprint Cup Series. They know they've got to get the job done. Drivers are trying too hard, like Greg Biffle, Jimmy Johnson. They're coming in too hard. And then all of a sudden the guys on pit road themselves making mistakes, just like Carl Edwards' crew leaving the lug nut off, trying to be fast. So a lot of pressure down there on pit road to make it happen.
Here's a look at some of the drivers, all of the drivers who have had pit road infractions, from speeding to missing lug nuts, etc. David Gilliland got the free pass, so he'll be the 17th car on the lead lap when we go back to green. 1 lap down will be Jimmy Johnson, the reigning Sprint Cup champion. And Larry, the big question: can they go the distance from here, or will they have to stop again?
I believe we're going to have some that can stretch it. We're going to get this restart with about 58 laps to go. That's just right there outside the window.
Okay, crew chief. Now, make up your mind now. Do you want me to make it or not? Do you want me to try to make it? Or are you going to tell me halfway through this run, if you slow down or if you save fuel, you might be able to make it?
Well, if I look back at my FedEx understanding the race, we're probably going to have at least one more caution. Hammer down. Let's go.
All right, brother. I'm with you. Just don't spring nothing on me last minute.
Closing up for the restart behind Jeff Burton, Bobby Labonte, and Kyle Busch. Now there are tail end of the lead lap cars in front of Jeff Burton. You see the pointers for those cars that are on the tail end of the lead lap.
There's going to be 58 laps to go when they turn the blue.
Green flag.
We've got a lot of cars up there fighting to stay on the lead lap, and a lot of cars fighting to try to get their lap back, like Jimmy Johnson, the 48.
Yeah, Jimmy got hung behind that 34 car there of Andretti. He just couldn't get out behind him. It really cost him a lot of spots.
Tell you what, that was a battle for the lead we were just looking at with Kyle Busch.
Man, what happened?
Biffle going.
You know, that's that thing we were talking about earlier about low air and these tires. The thing just jumped sideways with him.
But this is a battle for the lead right here. Kyle Busch in that 18 car sat on the pole, had to go to the rear of the field because of the engine change. He's going to drive by Jeff Burton to take the lead with 57 laps to go.
First time today that the 23-year-old from Las Vegas, second time today that he has led this race, his crew chief Steve Addington. Busch said earlier this weekend, high school was tough for him. He didn't hang out with the football team or, you know, hang out with the kids. He was home working on his race car. And the kids used to chide him. You're not going to make it as a race driver. What do you think you're doing? He said, I had to make it as a race car driver. I had nothing else to fall back on.
Well, I think he's done a pretty good job at it. Now, all of these cars he's racing with right now, like Sam Hornish Jr. in the 77, trying to stay out in front of him because they had made that green flag pit stop. They're what we call on the tail end of the lead lap right now.
Yeah, you got a couple of really good cars up there, too. You got Dale Jr. out there, and you got the 12 car, and who else is up there that's trying to stay on the lead lap?
Dale Earnhardt Jr., David Stremmy's out there, and Greg Biffle.
And Biffle, yeah, that's Biffle.
Earlier today on our NASCAR on Fox pre-race show, Darrell sat down with Jeff Gordon, and it may surprise you to hear what Jeff Gordon had to say about Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch, he reminds me so much of 1992 when this young kid came out of nowhere and started knocking the fence down for the first year, but after that has become a four-time champion.
I only wish that I could measure my talent up against his. His talent is beyond anything I've ever seen. On his days with that he's out front and the car's right, there's nobody going to catch him.
That would be bad news for the rest of the field.
I was just going to say, Steve Addington might want to dial that up and send it over to Kyle.
Second place.
I think there might be somebody who has a different opinion, a different idea about that, because that 48 car is moving.
So Bobby Labonte now second, Jeff Burton third in the 31. Brian Vickers and David Rudiman up in the top 5.
Now what Jimmy Johnson's trying to do right here is get his lap back the hard way by driving by the leader. He would be the first car in line to get the free pass should we get a caution, but he's going to try to do it the hard way here because he knows every car that Kyle Busch puts a lap down, that puts that car in position to get the free pass.
I don't think Kyle's even going to race him. I think he's going to let him go.
I wouldn't race him. Why?
And here comes Vickers in the 83 for third place against Jeff Burton.
Boy, that's dangerous right there. At least it was yesterday in the nationwide cars. You get alongside somebody and snap that back end around.
Steve?
Mike, just want to follow up on the 83 car. I talked to Ryan Pemberton in the last caution flag. They, in fact, lost an alternator on lap 113, and they have turned everything off in that race car that they can to try and save power. Krista?
Steve, everybody needs to keep their eye on the 00 of David Rudiman. On the last run, the crew told him, you are running as good as anybody. He got better and better as the run went on. They made no adjustments, and they just told him, save fuel all you can. That.
Jeff Burton making his 450th consecutive start. Just keyed the mic and told Scott Miller, it will not turn absolutely at all. It is just plowing, man.
That car was so good on the last run. How can it be so bad after this pit stop?
Well, the tire is a spring, Mike, and all it takes is a little different rate in that tire, a little change of air pressure that changes the spring rate of that tire, and it can take that car from being a good handling car to not driving good.
Dick Bergman.
Well, Jamie McQuarrie is about 8 laps short of making it on fuel, but his crew chief, Donnie Wingo, is telling him at the same time to conserve fuel. Meanwhile, right behind him, Clint Boyer with a brand new team, car number 33, and a brand new crew chief in this series has gone from 37th all the way up to the 7th position. Boyer said that this place has historically been one of his worst tracks. Last year he crashed twice. The year before he crashed twice. Today he has been flawless.
Well, after he crashed once in Montoya. You're right, Dick. Since then, he's been flawless. How about Carl Edwards? Edwards in 8th place. He was the odds-on favorite to win this race for the 2nd year in a row, but he's not really been a factor. He's led once for 2 laps. That's it.
The guy that's right behind him, though, kind of is impressing me today. That'd be the guy in a 20 car. He's doing today what he needs to do every week. Log laps, get some miles under your belt, learn these racetracks, bring home some information in a whole race car.
Dick Berggren has more on 18-year-old Joey Logano.
He has done absolutely everything right this weekend, Darrell. He did have a bit of a spin during one of the practice sessions, but since then, Logano has behaved like a veteran. 18 years old, is showing a lot of maturity here, running with people who have a lot more experience. This is his first time ever here.
It's only his 6th start in the Sprint Cup Series.
And Greg Zipadelli, his crew chief, Darrell and I were talking at break, they actually had brought that car to pit road on lap 173. I think until we got that last caution, they were on the agenda of trying to make it a one-stop race.
And it looks to me like if this thing should stay green, they're going to be in great shape.
And there's the 10th place car, that bright yellow Ford of Paul Menard, who you can see his serial score and how he's climbed his way up through the field today. And that number 98 for Yates Racing.
That's a great day for Yates Racing to have 2 cars up in the top 10. But I'm going to tell you another guy that's having a great run. He got the free pass is David Gilliland back there in the 71 car.
Yep.
This is a team that was formed late. They did not make the show for the Daytona 500 with Mike Wallace. David Gilliland got in the car last week. They qualified for that race, qualified here, and he's sitting up there in the top 15 right now.
So now that Jimmy Johnson has gotten his lap back, there are 17 cars on the lead lap. There are 45 laps to go. Who can make it on fuel? Who will have to stop?
Stay tuned for more NASCAR on Fox.
247 laps complete, 38 to go. Here's your top 4. Kyle Busch, the 18, Bobby Labonte, the 96, then Brian Vickers and David Rudiman, the 00. Rudiman's best career finish is 9th. And so he's working on a personal best.
And you heard Chris say that they told Rudiman he was going to run out on 284.7. That does not come as a huge surprise to me. Steve Holland, who is over there as their technical director from Formula One, those are the kind of numbers that those guys are used to dealing with. They don't deal in a lot. They deal in the little bitty numbers, and that's what that reminded me of when I heard that, like a Formula One calculation.
So if we stay green, he runs out of gas in turn 3 of the last lap.
Exactly.
Wow. Let's have a look at today's Sprint Monster Mobile moment. And it's going to be Kyle Busch getting a great jump on that restart. Remember, he qualified on pole but had to start way out back, and he worked his way up to getting this jump on the restart to get past Bobby Labonte for 2nd, then past Jeff Burton for the lead. And right now, Kyle Busch has a half-second lead on Bobby Labonte.
You know, Larry, I just pointed out to you Jeff Gordon, who's running 10th. You think about the tale of 2 pit stops, or 2 guys trying to get on pit road. Jimmy Johnson got on pit road, but he slid through his pit box. Jeff Gordon missed his pit box, but he stayed on the racetrack. While Jeff was on the racetrack and they're pushing Jimmy back into his pit box, caution comes out. Jimmy gets loses a lap, and Jeff goes on around and comes in and gets his tire changed.
Of course, the caution was for Jeff. You see the damage on his car, and Jimmy has since gotten back on the lead lap. So a bad run of luck, but a short one for the 200.
Seems to be.
But that 24 car, he had to make a couple extra stops, so he has 2 or 3 more laps of fuel than a lot of our guys leading this race right now. But he's cracked the top 10. He's up in 10th.
And that's what makes a champion: taking something bad, turning it around, and trying to capitalize on, make something good out of it.
Now also, Casey Kane and Robbie Gordon made their pit stops 4 laps after most of the rest of the leaders. Now Jeff's picks for today's AT&T fastest pit crew are the 18 of Kyle Busch, the 96 of Bobby Labonte, and the 31 of Jeff Burton. Don't forget to vote for the AT&T fastest and most valuable pit crew of the year.
It's Todd Parrott, Bobby Labonte's crew chief. You saw Steve Addington, Kyle Busch as crew chief.
Kyle Busch has not pulled away from Bobby Labonte. The margin stays pretty constant. Matt at just about half a second. Can he get away, or is he saving a little gas?
That's exactly what he's trying to do, Mike, trying to save fuel. At the beginning of this run, Steve Addington told Kyle, you need to try to save us some fuel. Kyle responded a few laps ago, I've just been trying to be easy on the throttle, trying to save gas, but the car does continue to get looser and looser as this run goes on, Steve.
Well, Matt, Bobby Labonte knows he's close. Crew Chief Todd Parrott has told him that, and just seconds ago, Todd told Bobby Labonte, as you go on board with him, save fuel like Doug Yates told you this morning on the straightaways.
Which means, two things I hear right there. One is that save fuel. Well, he means back off early on the straightaway. Don't take, if you turn 95, only turn 92. That'll save a little bit of fuel. And a loose race car like Kyle Busch is driving, it'll burn less fuel. It's not bogging it down in the corner. So those two guys are on pretty similar strategies.
How about Carl Edwards, Matt, in 5th place?
Still turning lap times faster than the leader, but also somewhat concerned about fuel. He asked Bob Osborne about 10 laps ago, where do we stand? Are we good on fuel? Bob said 2 laps if we get so-so fuel mileage, 2/10 of a lap if we get what we expect. So it could be very close for Carl Edwards, Krista.
What about David Rudiman? Where are the calculations at now? We talked about 284.7. They were going to be 3/10 of a lap short. Well, Rudiman has been doing his job. He's saving fuel. The newest calculation, and it's still very detailed, Daryl, 286.4.
Yikes.
As a rule, what we have observed over the last year or so, the Dodges and the Toyotas do not get as good a fuel mileage as the Chevrolets and the Fords. But when I look at that 99 car, how many races did we watch him win in 2008 when Bob Osborne said, I don't think we can make it. We're going to be 2 or 4 laps shy.
You're right. Nobody's better at saving fuel than Carl Edwards. Up front, Kyle Busch still holding station, half a second ahead of Bobby Labonte. Brian Vickers 1.5 seconds back.
Daryl, let's take a look at the telemetry on Carl Edwards here. Let's watch the throttle. See, he actually rolled out well before he got down into the corner. Now let's watch him feather it. We're looking at the throttle right here. He was quite a ways over into turn 2 before he picked that throttle up 100%. This is down the back straightaway. Rolled out even before he turned it off the wall down into the corner.
And all the way off. Not any part throttle. All the way off and then squeeze into it. Caution. Got a yellow out.
Back straightaway debris puts us under caution. This will be the 12th caution of the day. Is that a record? Yes.
And these are the kind of cautions I don't like, because desperate people do desperate things, and you're going to have a lot of people trying to get a lap back, and races coming down to the closing stages.
There's the piece of debris. Well, this is where all the fuel mileage is out the window. This is where you got to get on pit road, have a nice solid stop. But I just believe with probably a restart with just a little over 20 laps to go, I think we'll see some people try just right side tires on pit road.
Well, now, if you like long odds, do you know who has never won at Las Vegas in the 11 races we've had here? The driver who qualified on the pole. Pole winners never won at this racetrack.
Good point.
Kyle Busch won the pole, had to start in the back because of an engine change, and he is the leader.
You know what else, Larry? I'm just not so dadgum sure that there might be somebody that says, I'm not even coming in.
Hey, guys, right quick. It took him all day long, but right now he's leading the race, and he's got the #1 pit position. So Kyle Busch may also have a huge advantage on everybody else, whether he takes 2 or 4.
Definitely going to take 2. I want that track position. We've seen it over and over and over that the car out front, he's got the advantage.
But if you're going with just the fuel only, you only have to be there. The car almost just barely has to stop. We're not going to be that shy on fuel.
Yeah. If that's all I was going to do, I wouldn't come in. I'm telling you.
Sam Hornish gets the free pass. And let's see who will come and who will stay out. And what will they do, Krista?
Well, it's gambling kind of town, right? Not day for David Rudiman. They were so disappointed when that caution came out. They know they could have made it on the fuel. They're going to come in and take right side tires only. He says his balance is good. He just needs a little bit more grip in the center. Steve?
Chris, to Bobby Labonte in the 96, he comes to a stop. Should be right sides only for the 96 and the 83 of Brian Vickers in the lower left, Matt.
And a chassis adjustment for Kyle Busch. Right side tires only. And what DW talked about, that's what Jeff Burton, the 31, was talking about. But he was told, we just need about 2 seconds of fuel. We can't try to chance it.
And a close call on pit road. Bobby Labonte was leaving his pit as Jimmy Johnson was coming into his.
That could have been real bad.
Clint Boyer, the leader of those who stayed out and did not pit.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Subway. The big event is back. Any regular footlong for just $5. Subway, eat fresh. By Lipitor. And by Sprint. Get NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile only from Sprint, only on the Now Network.
Next week, we go to NASCAR's fastest track in Atlanta.
It's kind of an animal all to itself.
They run it fast with great finishes.
You want to see speed? Watch this. The darndest place I've ever seen.
These out of control.
Wow thing. Ready to race here in Atlanta. Getting ready for the restart. If you like long shots, I've got one for you. One car on the lead lap did not pit. Clint Boyer. Dixon is pit.
And his crew chief is Shane Wilson. How sure are you you're going to have enough gas to make it to the end and win this thing?
Well, we're definitely in Vegas, so we're going to gamble here a little bit, but being out front's the place to be, and we'll see what happens.
All right, good luck with it. Boyer's in the lead on the restart.
He's from Vegas, isn't he?
Shane Wilson is, yeah.
He knows all about gambling out here.
Green, and his teammate Jeff Burton hounding him down to turn one.
But look at Kyle Busch in that 18 car, 4 wide in turn one. He's going to get that good run off the high side of turn two.
And he made it. Jeff Gordon was really kind to Busch that time. Gave him some room.
I mean, they're 3 wide all the way back through the field.
Oh, yeah. You know that thing you always tell me at the start of the race?
Yeah, I meant to tell you that time, too.
You better tell me right now. Childress has got to be feeling pretty confident right now, Larry. I mean, car's running first and second.
It's one of the few tracks that Richard Childress Racing has not won a race on.
And here comes a 31 car with a head of steam off of 2.
Big run.
Big run. Got that big power off of 2. Boyer holds him off, though.
20 laps to go when they get to the line.
Those boys get to racing side by side. That 018 car, he'll be licking his chops back there, Kyle Busch.
Well, here's what Burton knows. He's got to get it done now because if a few laps on those tires, and they'll be more like equal.
Pat?
And Mike, what a weekend for this 18 bunch. 5 laps into practice, they lost the motor. Won the pole, 5 laps left of final practice. Kyle Busch smacked the wall. They had to stay late last night. They came in 30 minutes early today to rebuild the right side of this race car. And one impressive stat, I think, of all for Kyle Busch, he's got 12 Sprint Cup wins, all at 12 different racetracks. But this could be the biggest win of his career at his home racetrack, Las Vegas.
It's not going to be easy, I can tell you that.
No, and it's a 3-horse race, and Burton cannot go for the lead because he's got to watch Kyle Busch right on his bumper.
Well, Kyle Busch makes a run going low into turn one, but because Burton's on the high side, he can't complete the pass.
Car in the wall, backstretch. Is that Hornish?
77.
Brushed the wall.
77 got into it, but he didn't. I think he's okay. Still going.
Here they come for second. Kyle Busch on the bottom.
Now, he may be able to get it done this time going down into turn one.
He's got him this time. He'll get that nice slow line if he can get back to the gas there.
He's been really good getting in, Darrell, but not so good getting off there.
You got to clear him up now. Clear him up. He got him.
He got him. Now he'll go after Boyer, but Burton's not going to quit fighting back there in that 31.
Yeah, I don't believe Boyer can hold off the 18. He's a little bit quicker right now.
Burton trying to come back on the high side and not let this win get away.
Well, that'd be Boyer's best friend if he if Burton can get up there and worry the 18 a little bit. But I've never seen anybody worry the 18 very much.
17 laps to go.
There he goes. He's sticking that nose down there. Oh, and he moved him up the hill.
Got him.
Yeah, baby.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Woohoo! Have you ever?
That's what I call confidence right there.
You gotta love it, man.
No
You
short.
gotta love it.
Look right behind him, 3 wide, battling Jeff Gordon, Ryan Newman, and David Rudeman. Trouble, front straightaway, Menard in the wall, hard.
And Paul Menard was still on the lead lap. The caution will fly.
Boy, that's a shame. He was having a great run.
Menard was the 12th place car.
Yep.
That car is all wadded up.
I wonder if they would happen to play Boyer that comment back on his radio.
I'm sure
I bet he didn't have anything to Goodnight Gracie.
Let's see what happened to the Yates Racing number 98 here. Marcus Ambrose on the outside.
Whoa, they just had a little come together right there.
And Biffle and Logano got in the mix.
And it looked like maybe Logano got into the left front of Menard's car and it made it turn right.
That's a shame because he was having a good run.
Trying to hold on to it there. Oops.
You know what? I don't reckon he knocked that left front down when he made that little bit of contact with Biffle because that car turned too hard right, and the 20 didn't touch him.
No, not even close.
I believe he had the left front down.
Kevin Harvick will get the free pass on this, a record 13th caution flag. Here's what Dale Jr. saw.
A lot of sun.
Yeah. A little haze, glare.
You
Now
can
there
see
it
right
is.
there, the 20 car never got close.
No, he didn't touch him. Now, I think that the 16 maybe cut his tire down. Cut the 98 Paul Menard's car, tire down.
Now, Mike, what's interesting about the timing of this caution is we're sitting here with 15 to go now. We'll probably get a restart somewhere around 11 or 12 to go. It'll be what we call a down finger restart. Single file, lead lap cars only to the front, so they won't have those lap down cars to fight on the inside.
Now this time, Clint Boyer does not pit. These caution flags will ensure that he can make it on fuel. And I guess not much reason to come to pit road and give up track position now.
Yeah. You're like looking down at the bacon. The pig's committed now. There's no coming to pit road.
Yeah.
Unless you're Dale Jr.
Well, if you're at the back of the field and
or
you
David
want to come
Gilliland.
down, yeah, I think that's a good call. You might pick up a spot or two.
Sam Hornish brushed the wall, and he's on pit road, and so is Robbie Gordon. There's Gilliland, new sponsor on Kevin Buckler's car this week.
Pretty good day for that little outfit right there, boys.
Yeah, lead lap car.
Yeah, it's a team not even sure that they were going to try to continue to run the full schedule. They plan on being in Atlanta, but no plans beyond that.
14 laps to go. Everybody has enough gas and tires to make it to the finish, but who will get there first?
Man, Jimmy's car is fast. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Wow. The 12's wrecking behind you, wrecking behind you. Green is still out, keep coming. Up against the wall, up against the wall, up against the wall. All right, guys, you saw what happened there. We're going to have to do damage control again there.
Get ready for the finish. 12 leaders, 16 lead changes, and a track record 13 cautions here in Las Vegas. A quick recap of how things started. You know, Jimmy Johnson dominated most of the race early. Of course, Kyle Busch on the pole starting back of the pack. But here, Jeff Gordon passes Johnson for the lead on lap 149. Jeff Burton leading on lap 167 coming off pit road. Here with 63 laps to go, there were a lot of changes because of pit problems or getting to the pits. Jeff Gordon with a tire issue costing him, and also going past the pit box. Jimmy Johnson has won 3 of the last 4 Las Vegas races, but they're both now within the top 10. And then Kyle Busch moments ago battling past Clint Boyer, taking the lead for the 3rd time as Steve Addington and crew cheering him on. Johnson's led the most laps, but Kyle with 36 laps and counting, getting ready for the dramatic finish and the single file restart.
Yeah, restart's going to be so critical. You said passing him. I saw him muscling out of the way.
And he said his line of, what was it, good night, Larry, see you later, whatever it was. It was typical Kyle.
Typical Kyle, to rub your nose in it just a little bit. But I think the key to this whole thing is going to be for him making a clean restart, because if he doesn't get away and he gets in a battle with Jeff Burton, you got some guys back like David Ruderman and Jimmy Johnson finally has cleared, got 4 brand new tires in the top 10, and he doesn't have to contend with lap down cars this time on this restart. So he may still be a factor if these two guys start beating each other up. So Kyle Busch, he'll definitely be making sure he gets a clean start and get away from everybody.
Jeff Gordon 5th, Carl Edwards currently 6th, and as we watch Jimmy Johnson right at the 10 spot.
Yeah, again,
not a lot of time.
Not a lot of time to get it done. He's going to need some help, and that's why I'm telling you right now, Jeff Burton is the key to making this race really interesting. If he can get after him.
So is Kyle Busch, as confident as he sounds, able to hang on here, guys? What do you think?
Well, Kyle Busch made his first Cup start here 5 years ago, crashed out of the race after 11 laps, and like the Charlie Sheen character in Major League, he had a lot of talent but no control. So we started calling him Wild Thing, and boy, has he come on, and if he can get to the front, like Jeff Gordon said, he can just drive away and leave them.
Well, control and composure, that's something I really see that he's got this year that maybe he hadn't had in the past. The thing he's got to watch, though, on these old tires riding around here, you get a lot of rubber buildup, a lot of dirt. You don't want to spin the tires when you come down to take the green for this restart.
And, you know, when you look at that 18 team, they obviously set the bar and set the bar high last year. They won 8 races before we even got to the chase. The last time they visited Victory Lane was at Watkins Glen in August. When they got to the chase, they fell on their face. They came to Daytona. There was no way they were going to lose the Daytona 500, with the exception of the big crash on the back straightaway. I think there's a lot of redemption going on out there right now.
And it's his home racetrack. Nowhere Kyle Busch wants to win more except the Daytona 500 and the Coke 600, and then here.
Anywhere and everywhere.
And look at this front stretch grandstand. They're going to see their hometown favorite try to bring it to the checkered flag.
They're on their feet.
Nobody's left.
They're on their feet right now. They're anticipating some excitement.
It'll be 10 laps to go when they come back. At least one more lap of caution. And then we'll see if Jeff Burton or Clint Boyer, David Ruderman, or Jeff Gordon has anything for Kyle Busch.
Just look, when you look in the record book, let's just say that Kyle wins the race. When you look in the record book, you'll say, okay, he started on the pole. Then you'll say, oh, no, he didn't. He started dead last, and he came from the furthest in the field to win a race here. So he's going to set a record either way.
That's right, and the record will officially show that he started from the pole. So he'll be the first pole winner.
Right.
To win at Las Vegas.
And come from the furthest in the field to do it.
If he wins.
If he wins.
You know, you talked about this being his home track, Mike. There's a little old quarter-mile racetrack right outside turn 1 and 2. It's called the Bull Ring. In a Legends car, Kyle won 2 championships at that Bull Ring well before the age of 16. 65 wins. He moved to late models. Won over 10 or 12 races at that little quarter mile. So not only is this his hometown, that's his home track right there, the Bull Ring.
Next week, Atlanta, one of NASCAR's very fastest tracks. Then we'll take a week off because we're going to need to rest up for Thunder Valley. Bristol, Tennessee, Sunday, March 22nd, and then back on the short track at the Paperclip shaped Martinsville, Virginia Speedway, Sunday, March 29th. All those events coming up at NASCAR on Fox, and tickets available. So the best way to see this show is to see it in person.
Yeah, and look just like today, last week in Fontana, there's no experience like a racetrack experience. You can watch it on TV, and we love all you people that are sitting there watching this show. But till you come to the track and hear these cars, see these cars, and feel these cars, you don't know what you're missing.
Now, we know that Clint Boyer has been out there for a while, since lap 222. So his tires are not nearly as fresh as those of Jeff Burton, David Ruderman, and Jeff Gordon with body damage. Who is there to come up and challenge Kyle Busch?
Well, I think maybe Burton, and I just don't see that happening. I think that Kyle's car is just that good. I don't know. Burton might have a shot at him if he can do something with him on this restart.
Maybe Carl Edwards, last year's winner, or how about the Cinderella man, David Ruderman? What a drive for the 00. He's never finished a Cup race higher than 9th, but he's been a factor in this event all day.
And David has been a factor in a lot of races. At the end of last year and starting of this year, that's another one of Michael Waltrip's cars that is performing this year like not like never before.
Got a new crew chief over there, Rodney Childers. Seems like things are going good for that group. But I look at that DuPont car there, that 24 car. We're riding here with Carl Edwards, but when you look at how much damage is on that left front fender, to know he's sitting there in the top 5, that's a great job by Steve Letarte and that crew.
Heck, it might be helping him, Larry. Maybe it's letting the air out from under the car and cooling off that left front tire and giving him some extra grip.
Doesn't look like it hurt him after they got back out there.
You know when it'll hurt him? If he happened to pull out behind somebody. As long as he's behind somebody, he'd be okay.
Now they had to put down quite a bit of speedy dry up against the front stretch wall where Paul Menard's car came to rest, and now NASCAR's had another look at it. They're going to bring that sweeper truck back out for one more pass.
Yeah, there's a lot of stay dry still right here in the out next to the wall, just past start finish line.
They're going to restart single file, but by the time they get to that stay dry, they're going to be 3 or 4 wide, and we need a little more cleanup there. You'll see all that stay dry coming into view shortly.
Yeah,
Daryl, flames.
Ooh. On a sweeper truck.
Why not? Hey, they put chrome wheels on garbage trucks out here. We've seen that.
I tell you.
Why not? But yeah, that's a little much to leave there. So safety first. We're going to take another lap and clean it up, and now they're going to give them 1 to go again.
Yeah, I think by the time they get back here, this sweeper truck should have that stuff pretty well vacuumed up.
You see the 33 car, Clint Boyer, remember, he has not been to pit road in a long time. In fact, the last time he was on pit road was somewhere around lap 171 in that area, and he's staying down on the flat because when you're up on the banking like that, the fuel is running away from the pickup. So they've got to be careful here.
And Larry, when he tries to accelerate, he better hope he's got enough gas that when he accelerates, it'll pick it up so he can get going.
Actually, he was on pit road at lap 222. Yeah, he would be fine if we were under green because the G-forces throw the fuel over to that right rear corner. Running slow, it does not.
But the good thing for Boyer and Scott Speed is running under caution. You're burning what, half as much fuel as when you're running under green?
It's about a 2-to-1 ratio, yeah.
So you're going to save a little gas. Whether it gets to the pickup or not is another story.
Yeah, now it's not. I don't think it's a matter of them having enough. It's having a matter of it being in the right location in the fuel cell.
Fox 3D takes you through the field. Kyle Busch, your leader. We're going to restart with 7 laps to go. Jeff Burton in 2nd, Clint Boyer in 3rd, David Rudeman 4th, Jeff Gordon in 5th, Carl Edwards, last year's winner, 6th, Bobby Labonte 7th, Brian Vickers, Jamie McMurray, and Jimmy Johnson has fought his way back into the top 10.
I still don't like this cleanup down here. There's still a lot of stay dry just past the start finish line here. You're going to see a lot of dust. That alone is going to be a big distraction.
And that's where they try to get a jump to the high side.
7 laps to go, green flag.
Boy, that 18 took off, and you see everybody kind of avoiding that stay dry.
The 26 car, Jamie McMurray, he took advantage. He jumped to the high side. He's going to get a couple of positions.
Boy, look at that 18 car takeoff, Larry. He is gone.
He is giving the field the goodbye look.
Everybody else has got good years. He's got goodbyes.
Six to go.
He is shot out of a cannon.
Yep. He was sitting on ready.
Kyle Busch with a half-second lead in 1 lap. Boyer going after his teammate Burton for 2nd.
Yeah, and that's just
we got a car in trouble.
Whoa,
Jimmy
Johnson, the 48 car. The caution will wave again.
Big Wreck, we got another car spinning back here too. I think it's a Hornish again.
It is. Oh boy.
Well, Jimmy Johnson doesn't have much luck in Las Vegas. Well, he has had good luck here, but just not the last couple of times.
And Kyle Busch has got to wonder, will this ever end?
I think based on that restart, I don't think he really cares.
No.
See what happens to Jimmy. I think he just gets up a little too high here. His car wiggles a little bit, steps out.
Well, we've seen that a lot today in turn 2.
But isn't it amazing how hard these cars can hit the wall and that wing stays right in track, intact on
Maybe he's mounted. I think he may have hit that streak of stay dry and got his car a little bit loose, and then she turned around on him.
Yeah, a lot of that is there from yesterday's nationwide race, Darrell, and they had several wrecks down at that end of the speedway. So the asphalt stained from all of that stayed right there. There was a bit of it there
right
and
there.
here.
Yeah.
But he already had quite a bit of yaw in it by the time he got there.
Boy, Brian Vickers, the 83, just gets by.
There are 5 laps to go. So they'll come to the line with 4 to go on a quickie yellow, which means everybody can pit on the first lap that the pit is open, and then we'll get a restart with 3 laps to go. Can Jeff Burton wrest the lead from Kyle Busch, or will he be more concerned about his Childress teammate Clint Boyer right behind?
You mentioned that Kyle Busch think, is this race ever going to get over? I got to believe Clint Boyer and Shane Wilson thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too, Larry. How much further we got to go here, boys? They are sweating this thing out now.
48 crew trying to get the 48 car back out there.
You know, his trouble all started in the pits. When he slid to his pit box, it seemed like it all went bad from there.
Put him back in the field.
Back in the field, and he hadn't recovered. Got the lap back, but still hadn't been able to recover from that.
Jimmy came in here 19th in the Sprint Cup standings. Where he was running at the time of the spin would have moved him up to 9th.
Bumper's going to drag a little bit. You'll probably feel that.
And now he'll fall back several positions.
I'd be a little concerned about that dragging and falling off, actually.
It's about dragging, not being at
not
speed.
Going very fast.
Well, he is 1 lap down. If he parks the car now, he'd lose about 10 positions, and that's about 30 points. So he is just going to try to ride this one out.
All right, my boy. We got to get those tires cleaned up one more time.
Kyle Busch won 21 NASCAR races in the top 3 series in 2008. He's going for his 3rd such victory in 2009.
Well, there'll be 3 laps to go. We get this green flag.
Let's see if he can time it right again, and I think he has. He's getting just eases right on the way from the 31, gets him 3 or 4 car lengths. Jeff Burton's going to try to fight back, but so is Boyer going to try to get under Burton, and that's playing right into the hands of Kyle Busch.
Carl Edwards in the 99 makes a run to the high side of David Rudeman. That's a battle for 5th coming down the back straightaway.
Yeah, not a lot of fight there. It looked like David almost pulled over and let him go. I know he didn't, but he certainly didn't hold him up any.
And Greg Biffle moved past Vickers. Here comes Kyle.
2 right here.
2 laps to go.
2 laps to go, and he's inching away. Boy, Boyer got to be careful getting up on the back end of his teammate like that. I know he wants to get around him, and I think he may make that pass, Larry, down the back.
We'll see what happens when Burton drives it into the high side of 3 and 4. I believe you're right.
Still there.
We'll be coming to the white flag this time.
Carl is smoking. Carl is smoking.
It's another Roush Fenway car.
Blowing up.
With 1 to go, Carl Edwards loses the engine, and the battle is for 2nd in turn 1.
And they are side by side. Boyer to the bottom. The fight's for 2nd.
I believe Boyer's got him this time. Clear him up, clear him up. Get up there, attaboy.
Edwards to the apron and out of it. Here comes Kyle Busch and the M&M's Toyota. He qualified on the pole. He had to start the race in the back. And Wild Thing is going to win again.
Yeah,
in his
baby.
hometown.
Welcome to Victory
Las
Lane.
Vegas.
One more time.
Boyer will finish 2nd, Burton 3rd.
Try to just scratch it slow for it. You know what I mean? We didn't have the best car, dude, but that's what it takes.
That's right.
That was Steve Addington, his crew chief.
Had the best car when it counted.
And remember what a salesman he had to be early in the race, Steve Addington.
Yeah, I'm not as fast as those other guys.
It is the first win for Joe Gibbs Racing at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Jack Roush 6 wins, Rick Hendrick 4, and Chip Ganassi 1.
Good job, buddy. Hometown win.
Rudeman hung on for 4th. Good run for him. Bobby Labonte 5th.
Oh, and what a great battle for 8th place right to the flag between the 83 of Brian Vickers and the 26 of McMurray. Watch this.
Vickers got the run on the bottom. believe McMurray he just couldn't keep the momentum. Looked like he just couldn't get back to the throttle in the 26.
Vickers likes that apron right now.
I'd say this will be quite a celebration in Sin City tonight.
Hometown track, pulled it off.
Kyle Busch's 6th start at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and he drives to his first victory.
What if he'll go over to that high school where he went to where he went to school and say hi to everybody tomorrow?
Welcome to the Lipitor post-race show as Kyle Busch proves there's no place like home.
Thank you guys. I don't believe it. This is awesome. Yes.
A big celebration. He went to get the checkered flag, bent over and kissed the start-finish line, and now he's on the way to victory lane after arguably the biggest win of his career. Steve Burns.
And Kyle Busch climbing out in front of the hometown fans in this victory lane, a track that he watched being built as a young child. Well, Kyle Busch holds up the belt. You'll get the trophy. What does it mean to win in Las Vegas, Nevada?
I tell you what, this is pretty cool. I didn't know exactly what it would mean but coming to the checker flag. I mean, there was knots in my stomach. You know, this is probably as big as the Daytona 500. I said it wasn't going to be, but it is. You know, I want to thank M&M's, Interstate Batteries, the fans, Marquee Jets, Toyota, TRD, all the guys there, NOS Energy Drink. Pedigree, Combos, all the guys, Snickers, everybody on this whole team. I mean, they're phenomenal. What can I tell you? This should have got one yesterday, missed out on it. Apologize to the Nationwide guys, but this is sort of a little bit of redemption here today.
Kyle, you guys had to go to the back and fight your way forward. Talk about that struggle.
It was a little bit. You know, we just had to battle back, and we didn't have the best car out there today, but we had a car that we kept working on, just kept making better. So I don't know where I get credited for winning this thing from, whether it's from the back or from the pole, but either way, we conquered both of them, that's for sure.
Thank you,
Steve Addington, thank that guy. I mean, he's just, he's a leader in this team. Everybody believes in him. I believe in him. And as long as you have that, everything seems to run smooth.
All right, buddy, paint the town red. Let's go to Dick Bergeron.
Well, Clint Boyer has finished second with a car that was anything but fast off the trailer, but they worked on it. You started in the back. No question, your team wanted to win, but is second okay, given what you have been through?
Oh, absolutely. You know, give credit where credit's due. Shane Wilson, that's where he shines. He studies this, you know, pit strategy and things of these races really hard, and it paid off for us. But the Cheerios, Hamburger Helper Chevrolet, that's what you got to do. You got to keep digging. We went a lap down. We got that back. We got run into on a restart, got that repaired, and got back up there. Shane got us a good call and a good finish.
Nice job. Matt?
Dick, finishing in his mirror was his teammate Jeff Burton. Describe not only your battle with Clint Boyer, but also the final run to the finish.
You know, I don't know why, but we're really strong on old tires. We can't seem to go on new tires very well, and you know, stayed out that one time and led the race for a long time. And 48 came, but then we drove back away from him and came in, put on 4 tires, and went running to the back. I mean, I don't know. That's been our struggle, but real proud of all the guys. The way we ran last week to come back this week and perform like that, real proud of everybody. It's real easy to get down when things aren't going well, and my guys just never do that. They never give up on me, and I'm real proud of them.
RCR cars second and third. Krista?
The 00 pays big on the roulette wheel, and it pays big today. Now, David Rudeman, I got to know, though, if that caution hadn't come out with 25 to go, you guys were playing the fuel mileage game, would you have been the winner in this thing?
I don't know. We had a great Airstream machine all day, ever since the time we unloaded it. And even though we had to, had to go to the back, and on top of all that, we had an old leak at earlier part of the race, and, ended up getting that fixed. And, it could have happened. We could have run out. Rodney Childers said, we're close. I'm like, well, how close? He said, we're really close. So, I tell you, thank the Lord, it was a blessing today to be able to drive that car. It drove great all day. Rodney made a great call there at the end to take 2 tires and fuel, and we just kind of hung in there. We needed longer runs to get the Airstream machine up front, and we didn't quite have that at the end. But I'm I'm awful happy with our finish.
Absolutely. First career Cup Series top 5. Dick?
Well, Bobby Labonte spent the winter looking for a ride, and here you are finishing 5th today. How big is this for you?
Oh, it's really huge, and you know, can't say enough for this Ask.com Ford Fusion. You know, we just had a great race car all day, all weekend for that matter, and you know, we were in really good shape there before that one caution came out. I thought we could make it all the way, but you know, we were following Kyle there, and the car was handling great, and just you know, hopefully just taking care of the tires. You know, we got caught up a little bit there on the pit stop. You know, Jimmy came in a little bit late, and I probably lost a couple spots there leaving, but you know, that's just the way it is. And anyway, we rebounded to 5th there, and I lost a few on the one restart. I thought I had a tire go down, just went straight to the wall, and I might just bump the splitter a little bit. But all in all, I can't thank Todd Parrott and all the folks at Hall of Fame Racing enough for giving me this opportunity, and a good top 5, good race car, solid day.
A day of many surprises, Mike. A lot of them very happy surprises. This was one of them.
Yes, it was. Here's another. Kurt Busch coming in to congratulate his little brother. And there's Kyle's mom, Gay, in tears there in Victory Lane in the background. There she is. Wow, what a day. Darrell, at the top of the day, you said Kyle Busch would have to be patient to get to the front and win this race. He was.
He really was. He did a great job. But you know what I love about Las Vegas? It's fun. Coming here is fun. The atmosphere around this race and this event is like no other that we go to. A lot of fun, entertaining, and a great race.
And I want to agree with Dick Bergman. A day of happy surprises when you look at David Rubin and Bobby Labonte. But how about Joey Logano, the rookie that has had a tough start to this season? He comes home with a top 15. David Gilliland as well in that 71 car.
Good run for him. And Clint Boyer now up to 2nd in the point standings as we head for Atlanta. Lots more coming up after the break. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
Back live in Las Vegas, and Kyle Busch, the hometown winner. It was 2002 when he graduated a year early from Durango High School with honors to start a NASCAR career. But Jeff, you had to wait because NASCAR ruled that you had to be 18 or older before you could race. And at 23, he's now won 9 of the last 36 races he's been in as we check out the finishing order.
Pretty phenomenal right there to take a look again at the finishing order of the day's race. But the key thing for him, he's just getting started. I mean, they may have made him wait, but he's making them pay for it.
And Steve Addington, his crew chief, who said yesterday, you know, with Drew Blickensderfer, the crew chief for Matt Kenseth, hey, congrats, we're happy for you. Give somebody else a chance. It's our turn. And certainly the win for Kyle Busch. A shakeup in points as Jeff Gordon is now your leader because Matt Kenseth, going for history, was finished 7 laps into the race. We saw in the end Carl Edwards with another engine knocking him 17th in the finishing order, but he stays in the top 10 at 9. So now we go to Atlanta and a marquee win for, and he doesn't need his marquee jet, Kyle Busch, because he could just drive home, but he'll need it when he flies to Atlanta where he won last year. First win for Toyota.
Well, he's a lot like everybody else. They're trying to get these multiple wins if he can. So what better place to go back to for him than Atlanta next week? Again, another fast racetrack, very similar to the same one we got here in Las Vegas, a place he likes. Faster the racetrack, loose to the racetrack. This guy here, he can drive any place, and he will definitely be one of the guys he will have to beat next week.
So 3 races in, and Atlanta will be the 4th before we take a little bit of a break here, as we hope you're with us at 1:30 Eastern time on the pre-race show. It's one of the faster tracks, the Cobalt Tools 500 from Atlanta Motor Speedway. And tonight on Fox, stick around, except on the West Coast, The Simpsons, King of the Hill, and American Dad. Speaking of American Dad, our researcher Patrick Perrin, we thank him for helping us. He's kind of the Ned Flanders of our show. And Ben Altop, the maitre d'. Oh, we want to wish Nelson Crozier a happy birthday.
That's right.
Our production crew, Fran Morrison, part of the Fox family, him and his wife Kristen. Yeah, a new addition to the family. So for Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers, and in the words of Kyle Busch's crew chief, Jeff Dickerson, as Kyle zoomed to the front and hung on to lead. As he took the lead, his spotter said, "Say goodnight, baby." Promotional considerations provided by
Love it when it's forward, love it when it's fast, love it when the leader's caught, the pack is moving past, love it when they're making lots and lots of noise, can't wait to hear the W say. Boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys! Let's go racing, boys. NASCAR racing, boys.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Thank you guys, I don't believe it, this is awesome!